All right, hello, all of you cool cats and kittens. Welcome back to the heads-up battle between Doug Polk and Daniel Negreanu. Negreanu is currently on a 5-session winning streak. He's cut Doug's overall lead in half. Doug's peak lead was around 960k. Now he's only up about 480. He's pretty much just right in half. My name is Mike Brady. I am the VP of Upswing Poker, and I'll be calling the action for you today, alongside my good new buddy from across the Atlantic, Gary Blackwood, 500 NL Reg and Cash Game Pro. How you doing, Gary?
I'm doing good, bud. How are you? You good?
Yeah, I'm doing all right.
Nice, man. Nice.
Happy to be back to sweat a little stream.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. Those results in the top right, guys. We kind of had to throw this stream together a little quick because our normal stream runner had an engagement come up. So, had to scramble a little bit, but we're here, and everything. You could see the tables, so should be fine. Let's sweat some poker.
Considering we have thrown this together at the last second, it's beautiful, Mike, isn't it? It's just all come into place very nicely. Such as the professionalism of Upswing Poker. It's awesome. Props to you guys.
Thank you for that. always appreciate the somewhat forced upswing plugs. That's what this stream's about.
Pretty much, yeah. Right, let's do this. Let's get the YouTube chat. I'm going to do something a little different tonight. I'm going to keep an eye on the YouTube chat because Mike is telling me it's fucking awesome. So I'm going to keep an eye on it for you guys tonight.
That's right. I'm normally around 80. I was telling Gazzy before the stream started, I'm normally about 80-20 looking at Twitch chat. But last stream, I kind of reversed. It was like 60-40 YouTube. And naturally, I was a lot more feisty because of the people I was dealing with over there. So I kind of wanted Gazzy to see what that's like today. See what you wonderful people over there have to say.
Sounds good, man. Let's fucking do it. Yeah, I'll keep an eye on the YouTube chat. If you guys have anything you want to say, please do put at Gary. Otherwise, I'll probably just miss it by mistake. So yeah. So how's things, Mike? How you been? You good?
Yeah, I'm fine, man. It's been a very busy week, but yeah, it's good. These streams are always very busy.
What's the feedback like for the PLO things that are coming your way on Upswing?
Oh yeah, so for those who don't know, we have the PLO Launchpad coming to Upswing Poker soon. It's a $99 beginner and intermediate friendly PLO course, kind of for people who have always wanted to play PLO or feel like playing PLO, but there's never really been a training product out there for them. So it's called the PLO Launchpad, coming out later this month. I'm really happy with the feedback so far, as we see a 3-bet from Daniel on the left to his normal 4K size.
The PLO Launchpad, right?
That's right.
Did you like how I launchpadded you into that plug there?
Yeah, it was beautiful. Well done. Again, those forced ads right off the bat. Showing you guys what this stream's all about. We're gonna watch some poker, but you're gonna get a handful of ads.
Exactly, yeah. People on YouTube, where's the purple? Fortunately, the webcam is behaving itself tonight. Eric Swell says, Gary, you're the best announcer they bring on. Stop it.
Yeah, we had a lot of people missing you when you were not here on Monday, so I'm happy to have you back for their sake.
That's very kind. Thank you very much, guys. I really appreciate it. Can you ask Doug if he is watching DNeggs on PGO Champs? DNeggs is being taught chess and is giving a lot of interesting info which may help with this match. Sure, I'll happily ask him. I will happily ask him.
So Doug's out to a small lead early on, but not much. We will see some big pots eventually, I'm sure.
Predictions today, Mikey boy?
That's a great question. I would probably say Doug wins 110K. That's going to be my prediction.
I am going to say Doug wins $275,000 today.
Ooh, that would be a juicy win.
That is what I'm predicting. Chat, get your predictions in. What are we thinking? Who's going to win? How much they're going to win? Chat to Dino Deans. My brother from another mother, Mick the Mods, absolute best mod on Twitch. Mick the Mod, you guys, is a mod in my Twitch channel. Don't see him for months on end, and he just comes in for like an hour and is just the best mod and then he just goes away again, just into the Twitch world, and then he'll come back and just be brilliant for an hour. It's great to see.
Great to see indeed. On the right, we see Doug put in a river value bet with the turn top pair. Gets paid off for a nice little 8K pot.
Zach Shepard says, Gary, you may be a commentator. No, Jamie. That's very true. I am not Jamie. And it's tough to compete with Jamie Kerstetter, but I'll do what I can, you guys. I will do what I can. Shivasai. Oh, the man in my ear is talking. Bear with me 1 second, guys.
On the right, there was an 8K pot. Oh, no, you got him right. You got him right. The tables are right.
Yeah, they look good. Yeah, they're perfect.
Yeah, the 665 board on the right is correct. So on the left, we had an overbet on the turn from Doug. Overbet double barrel. So now it's 13K in the middle. Good card for his range, generally speaking. And he's going to put the chips in.
Oh, baby.
Overbet all in. It does get through.
Baby. Yeah, a couple of things I wanted to address in the chat. We'll keep an eye, see if there are any big pots developing. But guys, it's so cool. The guy whose screen we're watching has it in big blinds, which is really awesome.
Yeah, that's going to be helpful. Though it's going to be hard for me to tell you guys the dollar amounts, but I'll do my best math, my best on the fly math.
Fast math. Yeah, there are a couple of things I wanted to address in the chat. Bear with me 1 second. Tree Poker gifting a sub to Jimmy Frick. That is awesome. Good stuff. Mr. Peach says, is Gary a little close to his cam? Maybe he is. Let's step back a little bit. Is that better? I can't see shit now. I'm going to have to come back. Man says, Gary, did Jamie add you on MSN Messenger? Now you're best friends. I fucking miss those MSN glory days, man. The Costin says,
I wasn't on the internet quite that early. I was an AIM messenger person. Well, that was like an ATM machine.
Bless you, Mike.
Yeah.
Bless you, man. Missed the glory days. Drinking game on Hold That Thought. Yes, the other night I had to keep saying Hold That Thought to poor Jamie. She couldn't get a word in edgeways because I kept saying Hold That Thought. Because just big pots kept developing all over the place. It was a lot of fun. But yeah, Mike was saying the lead's been cut down to about 450k or so, which is props to Daniel. He's made a very nice comeback.
Yeah, great comeback. He's probably feeling quite good right now. Yeah. I would bet.
Absolutely.
So right now, Daniel's in for a bit more, so he's probably down about 10k right now. Doug up about 10k. Also, please bear with us today, guys, because we don't have, like I said, we don't have a normal stream runner, and he's the one who tracks who's up how much, generally speaking. So we're going to be a little bit slower on that today, maybe a little less accurate. Hopefully not, though. But just keep that in mind. I'll try to keep you updated on roughly what the players are in for, so that way you can kind of do the math yourself as well. On the left, we just saw a lead from Doug on the 5-turn pairing the board. He went for the 1 big blind lead. Now he's going for the overbet on the river.
The overbet on the river.
That's 6k into 4.
$4,800 into $3,800. Man, this big blind thing is going to throw us off a loop, Mike. We're not going to be able to do the maths.
I said 6k into 4k, huh? It was 5k into 4k.
I was trying to work. I was like 120k into 8k.
Yeah, you guys might hear big blinds a little bit more often than most days today, because the guy who is sharing screens for us has it in big blinds, which is actually pretty great. I wish it was kind of always like that.
Okay, there are 3 things I want to get to in the chat real quick. Commissioner Bolton, I live in London now. I've played in Scotland a couple of times, but unfortunately not. However, like most people, when this pandemic is over, I will be traveling the world, living my best life. But no, I've only played in Glasgow once or twice, and it was in the Alia. But it was fun. I'll come back to the other 2 things I want to address. As we see a raise from Doug on the left-hand side.
He does get called.
What, 17 times 400, Mike, real quick?
Dear Lord.
7k in the middle? 6,800.
right? Yeah. Okay. Correct.
We got there. Do you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to whip out a calculator.
That's a good idea. On the right,
Yeah.
we just saw Doug take down a nice little 10K pot with the 2 pair.
I bet it's pretty big, pretty quickly on the river. Gets it through on the king. Doug continuing in the same vein as he always does in terms of winning a lot of non-showdown pots. His red line must be through the roof. Shivasai says, how does Ignition 200NL Zoom poker compare to Poker Stars? I unfortunately am not able to play on Ignition. I am not in America or Australia. But from what I hear, Ignition is pretty good to play on. 200NL on Stars will be pretty tough compared to Ignition. And the last one, there was somebody in there. Oh, fuck, who was the last person? There's a big pot development on the right-hand side.
Yeah, 17.7 blinds in the middle.
$7,080 according to my calculator.
In the river was the ace of diamonds. On the left, Doug, or rather Daniel, dragging a check down pot with ace high. And Doug's going for the overbet on the
Another
right.
big bet from Dougie boy. Betting around about 10.6k into that 7k pot. Let's see how Daniel responds.
As we're waiting for Daniel's action here, odds Q20 in the chat says DNEG's adjusted. Ooh, Doug with the nuts does get paid off.
A little 8-6.
Yeah, overbet gets the full value there.
You love to see it.
Oz220 says DNEG's adjusted his open raise size from 1K. Yes, he has made it 960. He started making it 960, I believe. And I don't think he's been adjusting that one when they get deeper, but he has also started adjusting his 3-bet size when they get deeper, which is something we saw Doug doing from the start of the challenge. He actually makes it smaller when they get deeper to kind of dampen the positional advantage of Daniel when they're deeper.
Yeah.
And at first, we did not see Daniel doing that. He was actually, if I remember correctly, he was actually raised 3-betting bigger when they got deeper, but he's now doing the same thing as Doug. We're seeing larger 3-bets when they're shorter and smaller 3-bets when they're deeper. Interesting stuff. Cool to see.
A couple of things. First things first. Oh, there's a big boy pot on the left-hand side. Developing 9 queen 8 ace king. Quick bet from DNEGs. It's his turn to show down the nuts. Very nice 20k pot going his way with the old Jack 10 offsuit. Mike, I have noticed in the games that I play, 500 Zoom, people are now implementing a smaller 3-bet size out of position when deeper. And I'm 99% certain it's people who have watched this stream, seen what Doug is up to, and thought, oh, that makes a lot of sense. I'm going to apply it to my own games. So today, many times, open the button, small blind 3-bets were like 200 big blinds deep, and his 3-bet is smaller than it normally is. And like a couple of weeks ago, people would be going pretty big there. So yeah, I'm pretty sure people are watching this and they're implementing similar strategies into their own games, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, it makes sense. I mean, it at least makes sense to try it out, right? I mean, you see a very respected and good player like Doug doing something, and there's what sounds like reasonable rationale behind it. Why not at least give it a shot? If maybe it won't stick if you don't like it, or if it doesn't perform well for you for whatever reason, or you decide you prefer the other strategy. But
yeah,
it's worth a shot at least. That's kind of something that's important to do in your poker career. You kind of see things
definitely.
See things that maybe you don't fully understand or that make some sense, and you're like, maybe let me try implementing that. And you should usually do your homework and figure out how to implement it first.
Mike dropping the knowledge. One more thing I wanted to address. Big Steeler says, lives in London but never hangs out with his mates in London. Bertie, if you were to leave your mum's basement for 10 seconds, you might realize that there's a pandemic going on and nobody's allowed to hang out with anyone. But after this is done, man, let's brunch and make some silly prop bets. I'm down. As we see Daniel paying off the river bet on the right-hand table. 35 big blind pot going the way of Doug Polk. There was one thing I wanted to address on the YouTube chat. Tom C. Sync A. Listen to this, Mike. He says very quickly, 1 second. We've got a couple of 3-bet pots going on. He says, open up a spreadsheet and pre-fill an X400 field. How fucking genius is that? I'm not going to do it, but it's absolutely incredible. I like where your head's at, Tom C.
Yeah, that is smart. I have
Very
so
smart.
much up on my screen already, though, Tom, that I just don't think it's going to work. I have the tables that I'm watching. I have the stream so I can see your guys' chat. I have Gary's camera so I can react to what we're saying in real time. I'm not looking at 7 seconds ago, Gary, if like I am. If I look at the stream. So yeah, if I had a spreadsheet, I'm going to need a whole nother screen if I had a spreadsheet. So not going to work.
The
Juicy pot
lazy bet
on
from
the
Doug,
left.
yeah. Pretty cool line. So he checks the flop, bets pretty nonchalant, 70% on the turn. Let's see what he does. He definitely has a shoving range on the river here, for sure. He
But
likes
goes
to
for
bet
that block
1/3.
size. Yeah.
Oh, you love to see it. This is okay. This is actually I was gonna go down a road there, but I'm not gonna go down that road.
That's
I was
amazing.
gonna say, man, like obviously Doug is absolutely phenomenal and all that jazz. But if I were in his shoes, I would. I'd be a little unbalanced on the river.
You'd be going for what I can gather from what you're saying is you'd be going for some juicy bets.
Hold that thought. We have a very chunky 4-bet from Doug on the right hand side, from Daniel on the right hand
Daniel
side.
does get
Gets the
through.
fold. Yeah, what I'm saying is, if the solver was telling me to split my range on the river there and bet 1/3 with the second nut flush, I would be telling the solver to go away and just always be betting the larger size. But that's why I'm sitting here with you, and that's why Doug's sitting there with Daniel. So yeah.
Hey, Doug makes mistakes. He admits it himself, and who doesn't make
No.
mistakes? So that certainly could have been one. I wouldn't.
I'm definitely not saying it's a mistake. What I'm saying is I would be playing very exploitative on the river, and be betting large with all my strong hands always. But yeah, that's why I'm here, and that's why he's there.
Call You Loose said, most degen prop bet you've ever booked, Gadsy?
Ooh. I once bet I could be a professional footballer in the next 7 years at odds of 20-1. That was about 3.5 years ago now. So and it's still ongoing, but maybe a little silly from me to have booked that.
Yeah,
in my defense, I was quite drunk in the back of a taxi, and Ben a Bad Beat took advantage of me. But yeah, that's the most degen prop I've ever made.
Yeah, that's an ambitious one. Big check raise from Daniel on the left, and a 2x pot bet from Doug on the right on this 4 flush board. Doug does call the check raise on the left. We got 20 blinds in there now.
A bit of Jack 10 action one time, Mr. Polk.
Could see a Jack 10 here. Jack 10, a very relevant hand when it is a straight. Which is seems like it's pretty often, doesn't it? Seems like Jack 10's the hand you want to have quite often.
Yeah.
Maybe there's something to that. Maybe we should start playing.
Yeah. Yeah, a bit of short deck strategy there. Interesting to see that Daniel uses that really big check raise size and then just check folds. It's
Yeah, what size did Doug go with on the turn? It's kind of a chunky size, 5K into 8K. So yeah. You could, I mean, Daniel could have a hand like bottom pair that's supposed to check raise sometimes, and then
for sure.
Versus the large size, you don't really have a choice. Could be something like that, but it is interesting nonetheless.
Micro Poker Guy says, how much did you bet? I bet 1,000 USD. So yeah, if any conference teams in England want to sign me and make me 20k by putting me on the pitch for 1 minute, I'd really appreciate that. 3-bet pot on the left-hand side. Doug, the pre-flop aggressor, checks it over to Daniel. Let's see what Danny Boy decides to do. Big shout out to those that have joined so far. We've got approximately 2,700 viewers over the 2 platforms. That's really awesome stuff.
Daniel did get paid a moment ago with his trips on the right. And on the left, he got a float bet through in a 3-bet pot. For those who don't know, it's kind of only a term used in Poker Tracker and stuff like that, but a float bet is a bet in position after you call the 3-bet pre-flop. So it's that exact spot Daniel was just in. He called the 3-bet, Doug checked the flop, and then he bet. That's called a float bet by a lot of the tracking software and stuff like that, and thus the nerds like me as well.
The nerds. Little pot developing on the right-hand side.
Block bet from Doug on the turn.
A very small block bet from Doug on the turn. That's quite interesting to see.
Yeah,
See
it's
how Daniel responds.
that small turn lead on the board pairing card that we've seen quite a bit in this challenge, honestly. Both players have done it quite a bit.
Yeah.
Daniel just calls. Pot's about 6K. On the left, Daniel's going to win a nice little pot with a pair of queens. On the right, they're going to chop it up with this pretty much the same hand.
LFC says on YouTube, he says, "Hi Gary, please ask Mike about Patrick Antonius MS Paint masterpiece." Mike sent me a link to this earlier on. It was pretty fucking cool. Do you want to talk about it, Mike?
Well, you want to know kind of something that's either lame or funny, depending on your point of view. The person who said that is the person who made it.
That's lame, but it's the kind of thing I would do, so I respect that a lot.
Yeah, shout out to LFC for that hilarious Patrick Antonius drawing that we asked Doug to rate on the stream last night. Very, very top-notch stuff. If you want to go check that out, go to my Twitter. I tweeted it yesterday at mbradycf. It's a beautiful painting of Patrick Antonius. You can't miss it.
You're shameless with the Twitter plugs for yourself, Mike, aren't you?
Well, I mean, I figure some people are going to want to see it. I know that for sure.
I'm just joking, you man. I'm just busting your balls.
Well, how about this? Gazzy B 12345 on Twitter.
1233 on Twitter, but I don't really use Twitter. I'm more of an Instagram kind of guy, where I am at GazzyB123.
Yeah, so go check out his stuff, guys. Also subscribe/follow his Twitch. He is a great cash game streamer. Not so many of those on Twitch, mostly tournament people.
Kind.
So
thanks very much. I don't feel so great though. I got fucking annihilated today.
Yeah, you were talking about that before the stream. That's a shame, man. Sorry to hear.
It's all good. I don't mind losing. It's just let's
how it happens sometimes. I feel
exactly. Yeah, that's exactly it.
3-bet from Daniel on the left, and then he c-bets for about a quarter pot on the flop. Very interesting turn. Completing all the draws, making a bunch of 2 pairs for hands like King, Queen, Queen, Jack, etc. And then Doug putting in a small c-bet in a 3-bet pot of his own. The players.
I love when we have 2 3-bet pots at the same time. It's just like so hard to call the action. I'm gonna let you do it, Mike Brady, ladies and gentlemen.
It's especially great when they have when they're a mirror of each other. So on the left we have Daniel 3-betting, c-betting the flop, check, check, turn. On the right, though, Doug is double barreling. The board texture is quite different, so you would expect a fair bit of checking from Daniel on that turn on the left, given how many draws it completes and such. But he's got 2 pair, and he's going to drag it. And on the right, Doug's second bet on the turn got through. So those guys are going to trade those almost exactly the same size pot, about 12K each.
Von Go says, "Do you guys realize how good you have to be a professional athlete? I don't mean Gary any offense, but I just don't see it happening for him. Hopefully he proves me wrong." The phrase "no shit Sherlock" has never been more true, Von Go. I'm well aware that it's not going to happen, but appreciate you coming into the YouTube chat and crushing my dreams. Thanks very much for that. 4-bet alert.
Large 4-bet
on the
too.
right-hand side. Chunky 4-bet from Doug.
Actually, that was a normal size 4-bet. I'm just thrown off by the blinds. Sorry, guys. All right, so we've got 20.8K in the middle right here. Let's see what Doug decides to do when check to here. He goes for the small bet. Not surprising.
Very small bet. Little 20%.
Doug's going to have more of those aces, kings, ace-kin, even queens is kind of a hand that wants to bet small here.
So Daniel's going to have a lot of snap folds on the flop. So when he doesn't snap fold, it looks like we're going to see a pretty big pot. And indeed, he does call SPR1. Fireworks, boys and girls.
On the left, Doug's quietly dragging 24 blind pot as he overbets the river in a check down pot.
We see a lot of small turn bets from Doug here. A lot of like 15, 16 big blinds. Daniel's going to have some ace-eyes that have to float the flop. They're just going to fold now. Some ace-4 suited, ace-3 suited, ace-queen, ace-10 of diamonds type hands.
Yeah, it's one of those rare spots where you have an SPR of under 1 in a cash game, and you're certainly not shoving it in with everything or even, a large amount of your bets. Maybe even none of your bets here.
Exactly. Call from Daniel.
Daniel's got about 35% of the pot left. Let's see what
Daniel's got about $7 behind. There's $1 million in there. Let's see what happens.
All right, chat. You only have a moment to guess what's going to happen here. What are these players going to show down if it shows down? Throw your guess in the chat. Hurry.
No snap check back from Doug. That's always good to see.
Whoa, Daniel's going to be happy to drag that pot with 2 9s.
I like Daniel's call on the turn there. It's ballsy.
Yeah, good call for sure.
I'm gonna move the desk down. Oh. See who else we've got in the chat. Mand says there's a Scottish poker reg called Barry Blackwood. No way, really? Wannabe. He's a wannabe. I was enjoying your stories from Hippodrome the other night as a Londoner. Great stuff. Thank you very much, LFC. Appreciate that, bud. Thank you very much. Oh, for fuck's sake. Let me get this webcam sorted out. Let's see what else we have going on. Big Steer says, pretty sure 9-9 is supposed to fold the turn. I would be surprised. Yeah, I think in the heads up, given the ranges are so wide, I would be somewhat surprised. However, Big Steeler obviously quite a tough opponent of mine on a daily basis, so if he's saying it, then maybe there is some truth to it. As we have another 3-bet pot on the left-hand side. Dean Eggs, the pre-flop aggressor.
Big Steeler adding pretty poor equity realization with the pocket 9s there. He's definitely correct.
I would agree with that if it was pocket 8s, but fucking pocket 9s, they just ping a 9 all the time. So pocket 8s, pocket 10s, I hear you, but pocket 9s, man, there's always a 9 on the river sometimes.
Yeah, always.
always.
I love that.
Oh man.
We have a probe from Doug on the right that gets through. On the left, 3-bet pot. Daniel checking the flop, Doug checking it back, and Daniel checking again on the turn.
Jackson the Bruisers, I'm from Inverness in the north of Scotland. That's why I sound so fucking ridiculous. As you see, a 70%-ish probe from Doug on the left-hand side gets through. These guys about even for the day. It's been relatively swingy, but within a buy-in. These guys trading 20 to 30k pots regularly. It's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, several juicy ones already.
Yeah.
And we have a 3-bet pot on the right. Doug is the 3-better.
You think strategies will change as they get closer to the 25k hand mark? I wonder if pots will get larger and looser. I think if it's close, then the strategies might change a little bit, but in all honesty, probably not. I think Doug will pull away again. I think Doug will be up a very cool million with just a few thousand hands to go. Big pot on the right hand side here.
Yeah,
I'll let you call the action, Mike.
For sure, we just got a C-bet from Doug on the flop. Daniel calling. 6 of spades brings a lot of draws. Doug goes for a larger bet. It does get through. He drags that 11k pot.
It ain't spew if it gets through.
Lee Faz just asked. Shout out to Lee Faz. Pretty sure he's a long-time Upswing member, unless I'm misrecognizing the name. Did that last big pot on the right show down? 4-bet? Yes, it did. Daniel showed down pocket 9s on a Jack River. King 5, Deuce, 5 Jack board. Doug checked back, giving up with mystery hand. Don't know what he had.
What else are people saying? Slight lull in the action, so I'll get through some of these questions on YouTube. Did you ever play at Gut Shot? I've never heard of Gut Shot, so I'm guessing not. What's your biggest win-loss in one night?
I feel like we get that question every session, pretty much.
Yeah,
that's the one people love to come back to. Sorry to interrupt your answer.
No, all good. Online, it's about 13,000 winning and losing, which was all my own money. And live, I think I won about 25k in a session one day, but I was staked. So it's not as cool as it sounds. And I was in a lot of makeup at the time.
So really not as cool as it sounds.
Yeah, so of that 25,000 I won, I kept about $7 for myself because I had to clear a big hole. I remember I came back from the WSOP one year with about 20k in makeup, and I had to jump back into 100 zoom on stars. It was not fun, but we got out of it in the end, which was nice. Right hand side, 3-bet pot, flop goes check check. Daniel, the pre-flop aggressor. Matt Luchik says, who are the top 3 500 zoom regs? Get asked that a lot of the time. The truth is, I don't know. Really not sure. I can give you a list of very good regs, but I don't have a power ranking, unfortunately. Although, one of the regs, I'm not going to say who it is, that everyone perceives to be one of the best, no longer think is one of the best. I'm not going to say who it is, but yeah, perceived as one of the best regs, I now think he is overrated.
Shots fired at no one.
Yeah, shots fired because I'm keeping it to myself.
Shout out to Sleeveless Rec for the subscription on Twitch with Prime. Thank you for that. Emotes for you. Enjoy your emotes. Break the dongers out if you have your audio on. Throw it down.
Get your dongers out.
Break out those fresh dongers. Doug nice putting in a river bet. Doug putting in a river bet on the checked out bot on the right. He takes it.
His ranking goes like this: Big Stealer, Big Stealer, Big Stealer, Big Stealer, Big Stealer. Big Stealer, if I had checked my pocket threes on the river today, would you have bluffed your ace king? I'm pretty sure the answer is like absolutely not. But yeah, let me know. Lie to me and say yes to make me feel bad.
A lot more people funneling in now. Welcome to the live stream. For those of you who are watching this in the future, not live, hello for the second time. So, just to bring all of you up to speed who have just joined, Daniel is on currently, not including this one, on a 5-session winning streak. Doug hasn't booked a win in several weeks. I'm not even sure if he's booked a win in 20. Has he booked a win in 2021? Let me see.
I don't think so.
No, it's been all Daniel in 2021. The 4 sessions have all went Daniel's way. So Doug has not won in a while. The wins have not been so huge that it's really, really hurt, but he's done a good job chunking into Doug's lead. He's taken about half of what he was down at his lowest point back, he being Daniel. Now he's down just 480k going into today, and they're about even today. Maybe Doug's up a little bit, so still around there.
I'm holding firm 275k in the way of Doug Polk today. It's what's going to happen. Axud44 says Ginge Poker did crush 500 zoom for 5 big blinds per 100, which is really good. He absolutely did. And this is not a slight on Ginge. You know, I'm not firing shots or anything like that. His sample size is a little on the small side. So I would love to. I'd be very curious to see if he could maintain that win rate over a larger sample. And I'm not saying he couldn't do it. I'd just be very curious to see if he could. But there's no doubt that Ginge is one of the better regs, and is certainly doing quite well in the games. I'm just not sure if it's quite 5 BBs, because 5 BBs is extremely difficult to maintain at 500 zoom, unless you're playing in the best pools. But yeah, props to Ginge, because he's certainly in there mixing it up. You had Ginge on the stream, didn't you, Mike?
Who am I talking about? Who are you talking about?
Ginge Poker? I thought you had him in the booth one night? I
don't think so. Unless
I must be thinking of something else.
What's his name? His first name?
Oh, fuck. Oh my god, it's gone. I know what it is. Oh wow, it's just gone out of my head.
Oh, Neil?
No. How do I not know what Ginge Poker's name is? I
thought you were maybe confusing because Neil Farrell. I don't even know Neil's screen name, but I know he. I thought he might be in your orbit, considering you're roughly on the same island.
This is really bizarre. Like, I'm having a complete Richard Shields. That's it. Richard Shields. Did you not have him in the booth one night?
No, I've never met. I've never crossed paths with Richard.
Never mind. I can't believe that just happened, but no, never mind.
Super Snort says, if you had a super user account, what would your win rate at 500 NL Zoom be? Well, it depends how smart of a cheater you are, I guess.
Yeah, that's very true.
If you take the approach of the guys who were cheating on the Ultimate Bet days back in like 2005 in that area, you would win like 80 big blinds per 100 and get easily caught.
Yeah, if you're gonna cheat, be smart about it. That's all we ask. Well, we ask that you don't cheat, but if you are gonna cheat, then be smart about it.
Don't cheat, guys. It's fucked up. It's fucked up stuff. 888 Dominic said, shout out to Dominic, by the way. Neil Farrell and Ginge are not the same person? Damn. Yeah, that was me just like thinking of a poker player with red hair. I was doing my best.
Dystopian's game says studying is cheating. Yeah, I hear you, man. If you study effectively, then you are almost as good as cheating. I've done a lot of Mike. I've done a lot of work, small blind versus big blind single raise pot lately, right? And I've developed this really solid strategy. And today, versus one of my best friends, I absolutely punted small blind versus big blind single raise pot, and then I ran it through the solver, and I literally butchered every fucking street. It was just after all the work I put in that I realized that I've still got a long way to go in that one specific spot.
Yeah, don't we all, man? It's hard to nail these spots down.
Exactly. It was a pretty impressive punt, like check raise second pair, pot the turn, check call the river, never win. It was good. It was good fun.
Yeah, it sounds really fun. Sounds like a blast.
Good times. Realistically, can we still claim that Doug is a better heads-up player? Or would you say that they're pretty equal now? That's a good question, Stephen. However, I think that Doug is still very, very much the better of the two. I think Doug has won like one stack in the last 4 sessions, whereas Daniel has won like 9 or 10. So the variance is it's crazy in this format. But I still think Doug has a significant edge.
Yeah, just to add to that, even if Doug was up like 2 million right now, right, which he would be winning at like 30 big blinds per 100 if he was, it wouldn't necessarily mean that he is actually that much better than Daniel. So you can't just look at results and assume that there's causation there where there's correlation. There's just so much variance that heads up. The amount of the time you're supposed to lose 11 buy-ins in a normal graph, it's staggering. If you saw someone's say 200,000 hand graph, they would have so many 11 buy-in downswings in that, and if they don't, they're probably playing too tight, honestly. So, you know, it's just you can't look at the results so much. At the end of 25k hands, with how many showdowns we've had throughout the challenge, we should have a pretty damn good idea who's better, and by roughly ballpark how much. But nailing down an exact, like, you know, who's better than the other and by how much, it's just so difficult. So difficult. Check down pot on the right and a 3-bet pot, 4 diamonds on the board. Let's see if either player wants to put in a river bet.
Mike, can you hear me, buds?
Yeah, can you hear me?
I can. I think you maybe just went a little bit. 1 second. Yeah, my screen's gone all funky. That's really annoying. Right, let me see what I can do to fix it.
Wow, Doug with a very nice value bet on the river with just 2 pair on the 4 flush board. He bet about 5,500 into 8k and got called. Pretty sick. But that does make sense. The pot checked down, and he would certainly value bet with a hand like pocket 2s with the diamond. We actually saw him make a similar value bet with 4s with one of the flush suit last session. So if he's value betting the lowest flush, 2 pair pretty damn similar to the lowest flush considering the action, certainly makes sense. But still always impressive when you initially see those types of value bets.
Absolutely, and it's one of the marks of a great player. I'm not saying just Doug, but any great player being able to value bet thinly. And it's one of the biggest leaks in the micros. A lot of guys who play the micro stakes, they don't value bet thinly anywhere near as much as they should. So props to Doug for being able to do that there, and scoop a nice pot.
Kobe Pember asks, who has won more sessions now? That's a great question, and the answer is unbelievable considering Doug is still up about 500k. Daniel has won 15 sessions to Doug's 11.
Wow.
Pretty amazing. That's like that's a solid advantage in terms of session wins. Now, granted, Daniel has been the person who chooses to end all of the sessions. So there's sort of a little bit of a weirdness there since he gets to decide when they end. So naturally, you'd imagine he's going to have more session wins because of that. But that said, still pretty sick.
I think that's really sick. I'm really surprised to hear that. But props to Doug for being up and winning a lot less sessions. Because 11 to 15 is yeah, that's crazy. Big thank you for those that have joined this evening. We have approximately 3,200 viewers over the two platforms. That's really cool. Get your questions in for Mike, for myself. If you're on YouTube, please quote me. Otherwise, I'll not be able to see it, unfortunately. And also, are we going to get a post-match interview this evening, Mike?
Yeah, perfect segue there. Not only if you have questions for myself or Gary, if you have any questions for Doug, the man himself, he's going to be joining us for a quick chat at the end of the session, as he always does in these streams. So get your questions in. I have a couple questions left over from yesterday. I don't have questions left over from yesterday. So if you guys have any, drop in the chat question for Doug, and then a colon or something, and then your question. So that way it stands out a little bit for us. You can also tweet at me. I don't think Gary checks Twitter so much, but if you want to tweet at me, mbradycf, I'll have my Twitter open, so I'll see those for sure. So if you want to at me there, I will definitely see your questions.
Oh, shit. Oh, my God.
What happened?
I tweeted, I rarely tweet, and I tweeted like a week ago saying, that's it, I'm buying Bitcoin, because it was like swinging up the way as like a joke. And
I saw that.
Some dude is like happy to help you out, and he's like a crypto guy and stuff like that. It's one of those guys.
What a nice community the crypto community is, you know?
Just happy to help me out.
Yeah, I'm sure it's not because they're all incentivized to do so.
He is also watching live. I'm being facetious. That's very kind of you to offer, but I have a pretty cool strategy of crypto, and to just go with my feelings. It's kind of a lot like poker. It's just I'm a feel player when it comes to cryptocurrency. So just follow what I think is going to happen with no experience or knowledge of the product, and see how it goes.
Zad Fackle says, question for Doug. This is not one I'm going to ask Doug. Did you think Bugs Bunny was attractive when he dressed up as the girl bunny? It's funny. $3,600 bet.
Yeah, pretty chunky bet on the river. Right. On the right hand side, flush gets there on the river. Top card pairing on the turn. Daniel finds the raise. Wow. 38.8 to go.
Yeah, 3-bet from Doug on the left. Couple of juicy pots brewing here.
Moxicon says, buy and hold for a few years in print. That is the plan. I've bought some Ethereum, and I am planning to hold it for a long time, but I can't help but check it every 20 minutes. It's a lot of fun.
Best of luck with that. You will stop checking it all the time if you're like me, but if you're like some of my other friends, it's your new obsession, and that's what you do now.
It's fun. It's a lot of fun.
Daniel's raise on the right did get through on the river, so he drags a nice pot there.
3-bet pot on the left-hand side. Flop goes check, check. Action on D-Negs on the turn after Doug checks again. I think we'll see some river bets here from Doug. Were you offended when they put Grimace when the original Gary Purtwood left the chat a while back? No. I don't know what you're talking about.
Doug on the left. Do you know what Grimace is?
No.
Grimace is the big purple mascot from McDonald's. You know how McDonald's has several mascots, the big purple.
Oh, okay. Now I'm offended. Thanks very much.
Well, it was because you were purple. It was not because you look like Grimace. But you're
okay.
For those who weren't here, one session at the beginning, Gary's camera was extremely purple. There was something wrong with it. He was able to fix it midstream, but our stream runner decided to have some fun with him. Threw up Grimace of McDonald's fame. Daniel going for the one big blind lead on the left, about an eighth of the pot. Doug's gonna raise. He makes it 6 blinds or so.
Mike, do you want to hear the best thing you'll ever hear in your life?
Yes.
I just got a text message from a friend of mine, right? He's a muggle. What I mean by muggle is that he's not a poker player. Like, he knows how to play poker, but he's not a poker player, right?
Mm-hmm.
He says, hello, mate. Bit of a random question. I have a weekly poker game during lockdown. £50 cash game with a couple of rebuys. Everyone's pretty rubbish. My one mate, he's a really nice guy. He's really rubbish, and he lost £150 tonight and is very depressed. Is there anything I can do to get you to play, in quotes, as him and rinse everyone one time. No worries if not, just let me know. So my muggle friend wants me to like ghost this guy and rinse everyone else at the table.
There's no ethical concerns about that, so I don't know why you wouldn't do it.
No, he wants me to like play on this dude's account and like rinse all these guys of their money. He wants me to like multi-account basically. But it's awesome.
That's what I'm saying,
yeah, but it's awesome like these guys don't see how that's like super uncool, if that makes sense. It's pretty awesome to see.
Yeah, if you're in a world not really realizing
sure.
like why that would not be cool.
Not gonna do it, obviously. Bowie affects his guy Jungleman Blackwood. Slightly smaller stakes than the Jungleman. Oz says that's definitely not the funniest thing Brady has ever heard. Yeah, there's a bit of a radio silence when I told you that one, Brady. Couldn't force a laugh out from me, man. Thanks very much.
Well, I was focused on your story and like how to respond to it, and not
okay.
not laughing. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm sorry for not laughing at your joke, Gary.
It's all good.
They're also the chat. Speaking of rinsing, the chat is rinsing you for not getting my sarcasm.
Oh, okay.
When I did respond.
Yeah, I was like, is that sarcasm or is it not? Because you said it wouldn't be unethical, and I was like, what? Yes, it would be. Yeah, okay, I got you now. Got you now, buds.
On the left a moment ago, Daniel checked the river with a 4-card straight. Doug did not fall into the trap. Appreciate you guys being here and sweating the cards. You know, I know with cards down action, it's not the most exciting thing a lot of the time, but you know, we're here. We're here whenever you want to watch. If cards down is a little too boring for you, you could just check out. But we'll still be here if you just want to check in with the challenge for 5 quick minutes, maybe see a few hands, check what the plus minus is for the day. That's what we're here for, you know, because if you're not in one of the 3 legal states that have WSOP.com, as we see Doug overbet the river on the right, you can't even open these tables. So these streams like this one, are the only way to actually keep in touch with this challenge. Daniel is looking up Doug there on the right. Doug with his flush blocker. Daniel with top pair.
40 big blind pot going the way of Daniel. Nice pot for him.
Yeah, nice little pot for him. So yeah, we're here at your guys's. I don't even know the word. I almost said a word that the chat would run with, so I don't want to say that. But we're here to help you guys out, and we appreciate you for sweating the cards with us.
Absolutely,
on the left, yeah. Doug double barreling gets through.
Mike, do you check the YouTube comments after you're finished to see what people are saying about you?
At the first few sessions, I did quite a bit because I wanted to try to improve. Mm-hmm. But since then, it's I think I kind of realized the live chat gives me the same info. So
okay.
And I could just ask people I know for feedback. So yeah,
nice.
Do you hop in there and get in the weeds?
Oh, all the time, mate. I'm on that constant refresh during the day when I have nothing to do. I'm so narcissistic. I even checked on Monday when you and Jamie were in the booth just to see if anyone was asking for me, but unfortunately nobody was.
Well, that was the comment section, which is not the live viewers. The live viewers are the people. The live viewers are the people you've built a rapport with. Those are the people who love you. You know what I mean? So
okay.
I've noticed the commenters tend to very rarely say anything nice, as we see Doug drag nice pot on the right with trips. The post live commenters on YouTube tend to not say anything nice about commentators. Well, I should say they don't say anything about commentators unless it's something mean, essentially. So it's basically, if you go in there and you don't see comments about the commentary, you did a good job. And if they're saying something, it's probably negative. So
yeah, there was a lady called Rachel who said that my language was very offensive. So I'm going to try and tone it down a little bit tonight with the swearing. Shout out to Jay Farber in the chat. Welcome, brother. How you doing? How's things? How you getting on?
Jeff P 1993 says it's like the live chat is talking to your face and the comment section is talking behind your back. That's a good point. I bet that's a large factor on why it breaks down that way.
Great analogy. I like it a lot. Jimmy Frick says sounds like effing BS to me. Completely agree, bud. Completely agree.
Rachel Thorpe on YouTube says, why don't you check the chat for questions you are asked during the live? We try to check. If we missed one of your questions, feel free to drop it again.
Yeah.
Let's try not to spam it. Every once in a while, type it in. When people say the same thing over and over again, banhammer. It's just a little silly.
Okay, that Rachel, how weird is that? That Rachel lady that was in the YouTube comments, the Rachel lady that's commenting on YouTube Live just now. So how you doing? Please accept my apologies for my offensive language, and hopefully the stream is a little more watchable for you now.
Yeah, I was thinking about that. I was like brushing my teeth or something yesterday, and I realized, man, I cursed a lot on the stream yesterday, and there were certainly children watching for some people, and I thought, like, dang it.
Yeah.
I at least need to make it, when I do curse, it's like once in a while, and it really packs a punch. But I think on Monday, I brought it out a little too much, didn't really pack as much of a punch, and I'm making an awkward situation for all the parents out there. So shout out to the parents.
Shout out to the parents. Yeah. Get the kids clued up on poker. Hold that thought, because we have a pretty chunky pot on the right-hand side.
35K in the middle, or 35K, 35 blinds in the middle, 14K. check on the turn.
Doug is deep in the tank here. I wonder if he's thinking about leading. As he overbets on the left-hand side.
Yeah, so this is an overbet double barrel from Doug.
Doug was for sure jamming every river on the left-hand table. Turn goes check. Doug checks the river. Jack spade river, pretty dicey one. Board pairs, flushes get there. Goes check, and Daniel is going to drag in that pot. His top pair on the flop, out kicking the top pair of Doug Polk. Turn goes check. River goes check, and Daniel's going to drag in a very cool pot. These guys trading 20 to 30k pots back and forth. No clear front runner in the session so far today.
Yeah, no one running away with it by any means.
Mark Cubic says it's post watershed, Gary. Fire away, lad. Unfortunately, it's like 3 p.m. where Mike is, so yeah, can't go too nuts with the swear words, unfortunately.
Yeah, the upswing base. They're certainly, we have our audience all over the world, but the upswing base is certainly American and kind of Canadian as well. Mm-hmm. So I would definitely expect a lot of people to be watching this during the day right now. Not so many at night. Not as many.
The cousin says, Gazzy, do you happen to know the actor Karen Gillan? She is from Inverness also. She's actually my first cousin. We used to dress up as the Men in Black when we were like 10 years old, and now she hangs out with Kevin Hart and Jack Black and Dwayne Johnson and stuff like that.
Yeah, and dude, like, it was funny. You said that on the maybe it was on last Friday, I believe.
Yeah.
You said on the stream that your cousin was in the Guardians of the Galaxy movies.
Yeah.
And then I said that to my girlfriend, and she sniped that it was Karen Gillan. Okay, sorry if I said that slightly wrong, but
no, it's all good. Small world, huh?
Yeah, pretty cool, man. Must be cool to see your cousin.
It's awesome, yeah.
She's dressed up all crazy and killing it.
She's doing really well. It's really awesome to see. 3-bet pot on the left-hand side, 25% C-bet from D-Negs, a little more than 25%, but we'll simplify and say 25%. Shout out to Mr. That's very kind. Thank you very much. Quick call from Doug. We go to a King of Spades turn. Daniel checking over to Doug.
Chat, how audible is my dog crying in the other room? Can you guys let me know? 35 blinds in the middle on the right. Okay, good. Then I could just let her cry.
Just let her cry.
My girlfriend's doing Stairmaster, like right outside the door, essentially, that the dog can't go through. 28 blind bet from Doug on the right.
Big pot on the left. It's all happening, boys and girls.
Yeah, so on the left, who put in the flop bet on the left?
Not sure. Sorry, I was reading the chat.
No, it's all good. It was Daniel. So Daniel bet small on the flop here on the left after 3-betting. Then Doug bet when checks 2 on the turn. And then on the right, it's just a double barrel from Doug in a 3-bet pot, I believe.
one time Doug just win 2 stacks. Just one time.
Yeah, we could see a big swing here, boys and girls.
Yeah.
Doug's all
All
in.
in on the right. No snap from Daniel. I think we're going to see the same on the left. It's all happening. All in on the left.
Yeah, Daniel in
Daniel
2
in the
spots.
victor.
He folds
Folds on the left.
quickly. Apparently, the right was the much tougher decision for him. Let's see what he decides to do.
I think we're going to see a call. I think we're going to see Doug win a stack here. Although it's a really good river to bluff. If you got like a 6-8 or a 5-6 or something like that. It's a really good river to bluff.
But the bet does get through. Doug with river jams, both of which win the pot.
A duo of river jams. What a phrase, Mike. That's awesome.
Thanks.
Right, I'm going to go eat a chocolate eclair. I'll be back in 1 minute, okay? Is that okay, Mike? I'll be back in 1 second.
Oh, yeah, sorry. I was reading chat. See if I can hear my dog. Yeah, see you in a minute. I'll miss you so much. I don't think he heard that I said I'd miss him, so just so you guys know that. Good stuff for Doug there. Dragged a couple fatties at the same time. It's kind of the brutal thing about heads up. You know, you could be playing 2-3 tables against someone. You could be in a spot on all 3 tables. Gets pretty stressful, if you will. At least intense, if not stressful. Oh, my poor dog, guys. I don't know if I still didn't really see if you guys could hear her, but she is so sad that she can't go outside and go down the stairs. That would hurt her back because she's a dachshund, and they're unnatural beings that really shouldn't exist. Yet they do. And when they go downstairs, their back breaks. She actually needed neurosurgery once. So no more stairs for her. Bet from Doug on the left after Daniel checks back the flop. AK Sud says, get the dog on stream. I will when she decides she's done being petulant and comes over and sits by my feet. Kind of her normal routine. I'll pull her up and show her to you guys. 7.3 blind pot on the right going Daniel's way. He goes for a little block size on the river and gets called. And a pair for Doug on the left. Oh, here's the dog, guys. She just came in this room to sit on the couch.
Did I miss anything?
Nothing big.
No.
This is Emmy, for those of you who don't know her.
Gaza went for a catnap. Indeed, he did not. He went for a chocolate eclair and ended up having 2.
2? Well,
yeah, man.
What are they, fun-sized, or what do we got there?
Oh, God. Oh, no. No, there are regular-sized chocolate eclairs.
How do you stuff 2 down that fast?
Mate, it's easy. Trust me. Yeah, never mind. Scotty Alfred says, imagine needing to use the bottle and having to shove river. Would have to be Oasis bottle or something. Shout out to Scotty Alfred, a friend of mine in real life, being as weird as ever. You absolutely love to see it.
Was that a peeing in a bottle reference? I couldn't.
It was.
Okay, for those who missed it, that was a peeing in the bottle reference. We get a lot of those when Gary's on the stream.
Yeah, we do. We do.
That's how you know you're a true grinder, when peeing in a bottle comes up regularly in your group of friends when you're discussing.
Have you ever peed in a bottle, Mike?
I think so.
Yeah.
Like on a drive maybe or something.
Never during a poker match?
No, not during a poker match.
I remember the first time I ever peed into a bottle, it was like such a weird sensation that I just like couldn't pee, and it took like ages and ages and ages before I started peeing, and then now it's just like straight away, no problems at all.
Wow, maybe we should have you make an upswing module about that. Peeing in bottles while grinding. That could be your first.
I've always wanted to.
That could be your first upswing lesson. I can see the first video now. 5 beginner mistakes to avoid when peeing in a bottle.
and in brackets, picks included.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Good times.
All right, on the right, we had a C-bet from Doug on the floop. Check from Daniel on the turn.
My girlfriend texted me to say that Mike said he'd miss you when you went. Did you actually say that, or is she trolling me?
I did, yeah. And then I and then I said to chat, I was like, well, I guess they didn't hear me. That's funny.
You're adorable. I forgot I sent her the link, and I'm supposed to be on a diet, and
and then you just mentioned eating 2 eclairs.
Talk about shooting yourself in the foot. Good thing I didn't mention about how I've been texting my side piece all day, because she would have heard it.
Oh yeah. Wow, you guys must have a good relationship if you're able to say that. That's good to hear.
Yeah, it's all good. She would say the same thing to me as well.
Good. 3-bet on the right from Daniel gets called. Daniel C-bets for about 40%, or I think exactly 40%, and it gets through.
3-bet on the left-hand side. Dean Eggs, the aggressor.
Oh, we actually just saw a ... in chat from Doug. That might have been a misclick. He might have just accidentally typed something and then hit enter, but maybe that means Doug's going to take a break. We haven't seen that much in this challenge, and I know that's not too exciting of an update.
Mm-hmm.
But nonetheless, will be interesting to see if anything happens from that. London System says, just arrived from YouTube. You finally shamed me enough to switch to Twitch. Sorry if I shamed you. We are happy to have people watching on both youtube.com/dogpokepoker and twitch.tv/upswingpoker. Thrilled to have
we're not. No, we're not. We're converting everyone from YouTube to Twitch. 1 down, 2,535 to go.
No, you can't diss the people at YouTube like that. They've given Doug and Upswing so much. We have to look out for them.
Of course.
Right, Doug going for the half pot bet on the left when checked too. So Daniel C-bet this flop. Now he's check folding the turn, so Doug's going to drag a nice little pot there. Mike McDonald subscribed for the tier 1 sub. Shout out to Mike McDonald.
Is that the Mike McDonald? Mike Timex?
Mike Timex McDonald. He says, Doug finally winning a session. I guess I can resub. Good stuff. Speaking of, by the way, Mike McDonald will be joining us on the Friday stream. It's going to be myself and Mr. McDonald, pair of mics for you guys. He's just going to be with us for first hour or so. Kind of going to try this new thing where, in order to bring on some guests that otherwise might not be willing to commit to what might be a 5-hour session, which is very, very understandable, we want to start doing sessions where we start out with someone for the first hour, 2 hours or so, and then it'll be a solo session from there most of the time. Maybe we'll bring on someone at that point, but yeah, just kind of want to try that out. We have so many of these streams to fill. A lot of people who would be willing to do that first hour that wouldn't be willing to do more. And we want to give you guys a nice variety of different types of shows. Yeah, exactly. A nice variety of different types of shows. So yeah, trying that out.
It would suck a little bit if it was just you and I every day, or you and Jamie, or Jamie and I. It would get kind of old kind of fast. You know, you guys want a little bit of variety in your team.
I mean, I don't know if it would necessarily suck, but it would. I'm sure some people would think so. But I mean, early on we had Crab42, a great heads up player, Kevin Rabichow.
Yeah.
He commentated a session. We had Marty Mathis, and I'm sure he'll be back. We've had Brian Pellegrino, Primordial AA, legend heads up sit and go player, and a number of others that have been really great to have on. So yeah, we kind of want to give you guys that variety, and we hope you're enjoying it. We know a lot of you are.
Awesome stuff. Couple of things in the chat I want to get to real quick. Just bear with me 1 second. How many hands per hour do you average? Not streaming, probably about 800 or so per hour, there or thereabouts.
I'm gonna run to the bathroom while you're.
Yeah, you go right ahead, bud. I'll hold the fort. Have you ever pissed in a bucket instead of a bottle? Nope, never. You've posted that twice. The answer is no, never. We don't want variety. We want Gary and Jamie. I'm glad you said that while Mike goes away, because I'm pretty sure Mike would have cried if he'd read that. So yeah. Have you ever pissed in a toilet instead of a bottle? I think once when I was a kid. Gary, Mike, and Jamie, the holy trinity of online poker, the absolute Illuminati of poker commentary, as these guys get back in the seats. Dan Kai says Mike plus literally anyone is a good commentator team. Completely agree. Mike is very easy to work with. As we see, a 3-bet on the left-hand side. Could one of my mods please post a link to the Mike McDonald versus Jamie Goldhand? I'm sure a lot of us have seen it, but for those of us who haven't seen it, we all know who Mike McDonald is. We all know who Jamie Gold is. It's a lot of fun. Jamie Gold getting very, very for the river and then needling per Mike. It's a lot of fun. So if somebody could post that, I would really appreciate that. As you see, a 3-bet and C-bet on the left table. DNX taking it down for a small-ish pot. ISMSS says, is Amanda here today? Different company, buddy. Different company. I'll be sure to ask where you're at when you aren't here next time, Guy. Thank you very much, Ruskin TV. I'd appreciate that. I'll send you $5 on stars for the
courtesy.
For the pleasure, yeah, absolutely. Big pot on the right-hand side. Pot size turn bet from DNegs. Getting called. Doug with top pair. Taking it down for a pretty cool 10k pot. Doug up approximately 85k. We've got him at for the session. As you guys know, these numbers are not 100% accurate, but they're as close as we can get. We have the man, the myth, the legend, Seriously Serious, doing our dirty work for us tonight. We are very appreciative of it. As Mr. Frick takes the world's night off.
Actually, it's myself doing the updating today.
Ooh,
yeah,
so what's
I'm triple tasking here. It's not.
So what's Thomas doing tonight? Is he just sitting around?
Well, he's running. He's running the stream. You know, he's keeping an eye on it. Yeah. Thomas in our ear just said he's working very hard. Thank you very much. And he often does. Shout out to Thomas Killing, Seriously Serious. If you guys have not checked out his YouTube channel, it is a treat. Go check it out. It's just a bunch of poker parody songs. They're fantastic.
Don't check out my YouTube
from Doug
channel.
On the left.
Don't do that.
Oh wow, Thomas is in my ear saying
Bazam,
don't do it.
Bazam, 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 bazam. $10 my way.
Danny Boy's gonna need a queen. No good. Gazzy did just win $10 from me though.
I really hoped you didn't see the 4-bet on the left-hand side, so that when he 5-bet, I was going to go, hey, Mike, and you'd say, yeah, and I'd say, bazam, and you'd be like, oh, shit. But it didn't work out that way. But still.
Amazing. We, so Jamie and I actually changed the rules of that game, but you definitely won that one anyway, because I wasn't even on that page. As Daniel's block bet on the right gets through, he drags a pot. So when Daniel 5-bet jams, we're going to say something different because we realized it doesn't really make sense to say Bazam, Doug's former online catchphrase, when Daniel shoves. So when Daniel shoves, it's going to be soybeans.
Soybeans. Okay.
Yeah. That's what chat decided last time.
Awesome. Love to see it. Very nice. Yeah. Awesome stuff. We love to see Doug winning pots. And finally, a cooler going his way. Going in his favor.
It's been several sessions since that happened, so I'm sure Doug is happy about it. Actually, I shouldn't say several sessions because there was the King Queen versus sixes where Doug did stack Daniel, and it was Doug with King Queen, Daniel with sixes on King Queen X turn 6, I believe. Maybe it was even King Queen 6 turn brick river queen, I think. So boat over boat, basically super sick one. So Doug did get one cooler his way there, but I would say probably 95% of the big pots in the last several sessions have went Daniel's way, maybe 90%, 10-1 or 19-1 or so. It's really been a bloodbath in terms of the big pots. Daniel has been dragging them all, which is a very good strategy. If you guys have not implemented that in your game, winning the big pots, I would actually recommend heading over to Upswing Poker because that's something we teach a lot. We often preach win your big pots. And we also teach you how. So go check out upswingpoker.com if you want to improve your skills. We have courses for people of all skill levels. And if you aren't sure what course to take, tweet at me at mbradycf or just email our support team, support@upswingpoker.com, and I will reply to you there. And
Mike, let me ask you a question.
Recommendation. What's up?
On that note, I was looking for a recommendation. I am an aspiring PLO player, but I don't know much about PLO. Is there a product for me in the Upswing Lab that could help me get started with Pot Limit Omaha?
Well, there isn't currently a product. Funny you should ask, but there is one currently in development coming out in a couple of weeks. As we see on the right, Daniel dragging a pot with ace jack high, pipping Doug's ace 8. So the PLO Launchpad is what Gary is alluding to there. Very, very new beginner-friendly PLO course, just $99 coming out in a couple of weeks. It's actually going to come, if you join during launch week, it's going to come with 1 month of PLO Matrix access, which is this absurdly amazing PLO preflop tool that basically just tells you how to play every hand with 2 clicks. Super, super sick. Probably the best value in poker, in my opinion. And you're going to get that for $1 if you join the PLO Launchpad during launch week. It's going to be good stuff, guys. I will drop the link in both chats here.
It sounds excellent. Brain Dead Bop says cringe. It was intentionally cringe, brah. I was being intentionally cringe.
He threw the bra at him. Brah.
Yeah, brah.
C-bet from Doug on the right. C-bet from Daniel on the left. Doug's gets through. Oh, he was being sarcastic when he said cringe. How could we, how could we have missed that? So obvious.
No. I mean, okay. I don't think he was being sarcastic, but okay. Do you think he was being sarcastic, Mike?
I don't care. Don't care at all. half pot from D-Negs on the left. Does get called. River pairs the board.
3-bet pot on the right-hand side. D-Negs the pre-flop aggressor.
And a 3-bet from D-Negs on the right.
It's been a tough night for D-Negs so far tonight. He's been running into it a little bit. But Doug's been due a session. Did Doug pull in that pot on the left-hand side?
Yes, he had ace 2 top pair.
Nice.
River went check, check. And Daniel's 3-betting the left now as well. Might have a pair of 3-bet pots happening here. C-betting on the right for 40%. And we do have 2 3-bet pots. Very similar boards. Not quite the same, but quite similar.
Yeah, pretty similar in texture in terms of being low and fairly connected for straight draws and gut shots and things like that.
Yeah, though we will see a lot more straight draws, obviously, in their range on the left one with all those Broadway hands like Jack 10 or, like a 10-8 or rather a 10-9 or 5-6, stuff like that.
Having said that, there's a lot of ace 4, ace 5 type hands on the right hand side as well. So I would imagine if we counted the combos, it'd be fairly close to even. But I think on the 8-7-3, there's going to be more for sure.
That's a good point that I didn't really think of, though. So
no,
thank you for sharing that.
Sorry, man.
No.
We see a raise on the left hand side from Doug on the 8-7-3.
And Doug did drag the pot on the right with a turn bet.
Doug is turning the screw tonight. He's winning his showdown, his non-showdown pots, and he's also winning the big pots for a change. So I'm sticking with my prediction: 275k for Doug. We're about halfway there so far. Interesting turn here. So Doug raises Daniel's c-bet turn, pairs the top card. I expect we'll see a lot of checks here from Doug.
But we don't. We see a small bet.
We don't. We see a small bet.
Interesting. Yeah, going this small size, that allows him to bet hands like pocket 9, 7x for value, right? Whereas if he goes bigger, he can't really do that so much.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right.
Though, of course, he'll also mix in some 8s to the size as well, you would imagine. And some boats would also make sense.
Some Jack 9s, etc. And again, we see a pot going the way of Doug. His red line must be through the effing roof right now.
Yeah, Daniel, in that situation, you never want to be in a 2-tabling heads-up match where both of your tables, you're at starting stack and you're looking across the table and your opponent has 440 blinds and 200 blinds respectively. Not a good feeling. Yeah. It's
Not a
something
good
I've been
feeling.
on I've been on the good end of it, but I've been on the receiving end of it many times. It sucks. Might see Daniel end this session sooner if it does keep up like this. We've generally seen Daniel quit when he's getting just absolutely smashed in the session. Things just aren't going his way. That said, it hasn't been like that every time. There have been a few times where Daniel was down quite a bit and fought on. So, not saying it for sure. I just do think it makes it a little bit more likely this is a short session. Just for y'all's knowledge.
Yeah, I completely agree. Hopefully, we see Daniel stay, because it's good for Doug if he's got a little bit of momentum. He'll be feeling good about his game. He's running good, and if Daniel's a little tilted, then obviously it's good for Doug. So hopefully, we see a slightly lower session tonight. Ronnie the Cat says, Gazzy, I heard you lived in Ballykeal before. Is that true in Ballymena? I grew up in Ballymena, but I never lived in Ballykeal. I don't know the people you have mentioned, but I used to live in Ballymena a long time ago. On the right-hand side, Daniel pulling in a 46.8 big blind pot with a pair of queens versus the pair of tens of Doug Polk.
Anthony Combs on YouTube says, Mike, what are the conditions for cutting off your sleeves? He's referring to something from the Monday session where, when I was commentating with Jamie, we decided to make a pact. She was already wearing a tank top. We figured Doug was, and of course he was. So if Doug was to break the record for biggest pot of the challenge and win it last session, I was going to have to cut off my sleeves to make a homemade tank top. I really like the shirt, so I would rather Doug win that pot, granted, but I'm fairly glad the shirt is intact. If you guys convince me, I might do it again, sure.
Nice, man.
Motophile says, damn, what did I miss? I'm sure you're not the only one, even though you got answered by the other people, the kind people in chat. I will quickly recap. It was basically just a pre-flop cooler going the way of Doug. Doug with aces on the button, Daniel with queens in the big blind. Open, 3-bet, 4-bet, 5-bet all in, call. Standard stuff. And then other than that, basically every other big pot over, well, even a lot of the small pots have went Doug's way. Besides that big one, it's kind of been chipping away.
3-bet and C-bet on the left-hand side from D-Negs. He's going to barrel the turn a lot. Doug doesn't really have much of a folding range versus the small quarter pot size that Daniel used on the flop. Daniel does elect to just go ahead and check folds. Let's see what's going on in the chat. Bowie effect, it is Febreze, of course, only the best for Gazzy B.
Zachary Brennan in chat said D-Negs, as that board came on the left, he said D-Negs always wins the 7-7-2 flops. The board was 7-7-2. And he jinxed Daniel. Daniel did not win it. Way to go, bro. Jinxed him.
People keep trying to get me to talk about Scottish football, and given we're like 95% Americans who don't want to hear about it, unfortunately I can't. However, if you guys click on my name and give me a follow on Twitch tomorrow when I'm streaming, we can talk about Scottish football until your heart is content.
Hell yeah.
Mike will be there. Absolutely loves Dundee United, don't you, Mike?
For sure, yeah. I really like Smith. He's really good.
Nice.
For those of you on YouTube, I'm gonna go ahead and drop Gary's link for you guys if you want to follow him on Twitch. Very good follow. I'd recommend it.
That's very kind. Thanks very much. Quantum says, Gary, do you think Man United have a chance to win the Premier League? I really hope not. I strongly dislike Manchester United, so hopefully we don't see that. That would be brutal. I think what's going to happen is Liverpool are going to beat them 5-1 on Sunday, and it'll spank them back down to where they belong. Yeah,
I agree, for sure.
Doug Selp says, if Doug ends plus 250k or more this session, will you guys do a shirtless Q&A with Doug? Yes, I'm down for that.
No. No one wants to see that. No one wants to see that. This guy only wants to see that because no one wants to see that. So
I mean, I might get shirtless right now, Mike. Would you be okay with that?
Well, let's keep the shirts on, Cassie. All right, you're a good guy, but let's keep the shirts on.
Am I the only one who's naked from the waist down, or are we both naked from the waist down? Or
well, that's confidential information, and I have to stay balanced with my answering. So
just if I don't stand up too quickly, you guys know why. If I like slide away slowly, if I go for another chocolate eclair or something.
Sandberg Yusuf says, who wins between Doug and Daniel in an MMA fight? I mean, I think that's pretty unfair. Doug's got like 100 pounds on him, maybe 60 pounds.
Yeah. Kazabi has the tunes, banging streams, and hates Man United for the effing boys indeed. Absolutely, my friend. That's very kind. Thanks very much. Been listening to a lot of Daft Punk on stream. Mike, are you a Daft Punk kind of guy?
Yeah, of course. Daft Punk's legendary.
Yeah, I'm absolutely loving it. It's fantastic.
Are you listening to like the newer album, or are you going back through the archive?
2000 Live, I think it's called. Yeah, Alive 2007. It's called. It's awesome. It's really cool.
Yeah,
it's good for morale if you lose if you get stacked and you've got like Around the World pumping in your ear. It's all good.
My favorite producer / DJ is a guy called Eric Prydz, and he has he has an amazing Daft Punk and other I don't remember who the other one is, but a mashup. Oh man, it's incredible. I don't know if anyone cares, but I'm dropping it in chat anyway.
Yeah. I 100% care. Drop that right now. We have a very large pot development on the right hand side. Daniel dragging it in with Ace Jack. Approximately 16-17k going his way. After he podded the turn and river went check. Certainly don't begrudge him checking back the river. Adam Racy, that's very kind. Thank you very much. Okay, let's see what we got. Excellent. I'm going to pause that. And I'm going to listen to it a little later on.
Nice. Yeah, it's good shit.
Yeah, James Wolford says piano. Piano is a fantastic song. I really like that one.
Oh, an absolute banger. Unbelievable song. Prince has so many of those. Like hundreds, literally hundreds. Unbelievable. Yeah. He's Ryan Fee's favorite DJ too. Ryan Fee and I have been to many of a music festival together. Arm in arm watching Eric Prydz. Oh yeah, for sure. Group arm in arm like this kind of thing, you know?
We on the Swedgers?
I don't know what that means, but probably.
I think you can work it out.
Probably.
Never mind. Just a little bit of banter for the Scots amongst us. Have you ever listened to Rusty? He's a fellow Scots. I have not, but I was sure to check him out. Hot Dom says, how much ecstasy did you take? That's what I was referencing. Green Machine says, Gaza Blackwood, have you ever played on Sky? Once upon a time, my friend, I used to play a little bit on Sky. As you see, Doug dragging in a 25 big blind pot with the 10-7 suited. Nice river call from him.
Yeah, nice bluff catch. JSpec07 on YouTube asked, is there somewhere I can see the profit loss per session? I assume you're asking so you can go back and look at each session when sort of how all of them went. Yes, you can. You can go to upswingpoker.com/HU for grudge. It's the link that's just above my head right now on the screen you're looking at. So go ahead and go to that link and you can see a 2-sentence long recap of each session along with who won how much, how many hands they played. Sometimes they're just approximates, but that's sort of our hub for the challenge that we have over on Upswing Poker. As we see Daniel 3-bet the river on the right. He bets small, Doug raised, and now he's 3-betting.
Oh, baby.
So yeah, go check out that link if you just want to stay up to date on the challenge. If you ever miss a day, check it out.
This is an interesting pot. I would imagine Doug has like a Jack-9 type hand. Let's see what happens. Daniel certainly has more flushes in his range. Given Doug has checked back the turn, super unlikely he has a flush. And Daniel, of course, not going to lead out in the turn all that often. So it makes a lot of sense for Daniel to be able to 3-bet there. I'll be very impressed with Daniel if that was a bluff. Tricky Mix says, Gaza, have you ever streamed Mad with it? A couple of times. Right hand side, we have a 3-bet from DNeggs, making a small comeback on this table, getting a stack up to about 60k or so. Doug going to find the 4-ball? Is he going to make it 26 bigs to go? No, he finds the 4-ball to 30 bigs. Quick fold from Daniel. Larger 4-bet there because they are a little bit deeper. Makes a lot of sense.
Eight bits out says, did know links aren't allowed. If you tried to post a link, you can whisper it to me if it's relevant, and I can post it for you. But yeah, you can't just post links randomly because, can't let people do that.
Couple of things I want to address in the chat, but we have a 3-bet pot on the right-hand side. I'll get to them really quickly. Tricky Mixes. I'm not going to read that out, but that's very funny. Which one do you prefer, Edinburgh or Glasgow? Definitely Glasgow. Can you tell the pills in the bathroom story? Absolutely not. The time is, but if you guys head over to my stream, I will tell it tomorrow. So 3-bet and C-bet on the right-hand side. Doug checking the turn. Quantum says, do you think Gerrard is doing a good job as coach? I'll be honest, I thought he'd last about 6 months, and he's doing a fantastic job. I also really like Frank Lampard, but I think that Gerrard will be a little more successful in his managerial career. As you see, Daniel betting 1/3 on the turn when checked to. It's more than 1/3 actually. It's 40, about 30, about 40% or so. Yeah, something like that. Check call from Doug. Let's see what Daniel decides to do. Doug rivering top pair. And dragging in a very nice pot.
Daniel is not going to like that one.
Daniel's going to be a little frustrated there for sure. But
yeah, I say that, of course, because we didn't see Daniel's hand, but given that he checked back the river fairly quickly, I think it's safe to say that he had something like a jack, maybe pocket 8, something like that, some sort of showdown value that Doug sucked out on there. I guess it's possible Daniel had a hand like ace 10, but seems pretty unlikely. Probably had a pair that is not happy to see that river. Another 3-bet pot on the right.
Keep the questions coming, guys. I'm going to do my best to get through all of them. There are a lot of questions. Do you do much partying in Vegas, Gary? Sometimes, yeah. Not a whole lot. I'm 31 next week, so I'm getting a little old. Sorry, go ahead, Mike.
No problem. Daniel drags a nice pot on the left with a flush a moment ago. The babiest flush of baby flushes, but it's good, more than good enough.
Getting a lot of questions about my favorite Scotch whiskey. I don't like whiskey. I'm really sorry. I know that's so anticlimactic, but I'm not a fan of it. That's all, I'm afraid. Mike goes blank when you mention football. Make the most of your last spell in the box, Gazzy. Are you going to fire me, Mike, for talking about football too much?
No, I'm just going to be bored. I'm just going to be bored when you talk about it. It's fine. It's not a big deal.
Kind of like when you and Doug talk about NFL, and I just have to sit there and nod my head, and I'm like,
dude, I'm bored during that too, dude. I was asking those questions on behalf of the chat. I haven't watched a single sports ball game this year.
Oh my god!
And it's a good year to watch games. There's nothing else to do, but I still haven't done it.
I remember last time you were like, okay, Doug, we're doing a quick fire round where I want you to answer as quickly as possible. And like every answer is just like 7 minutes long. And it was just supposed to be like one word, quick answers, like a fire round. And it just like Doug was just like loving talking about everything. So he spent like 7 or 8 minutes talking about every question.
That happens. Surfing Punter with a funny question on YouTube. Whoa, Doug on the big win. I guess you just tuned in. Welcome to the stream. Bluffs getting through? ? Well, how would we know?
It's very true. Very true.
If they get through, we don't know he was bluffing.
We have a very chunky pot on the right-hand side. 4-bet pre-flop from D-Negs. Doug checks the flop as you would expect him to. And a Noodles, I am not going to read that out. Thanks very much for trying, though. I like it. Have you ever been to Wimbledon? I have not. Would love to go one day, though. As we say, a quarter pot bet from D-Negs on the flop, as you'd expect. Doug's going to play some shoves here, for sure. Let's see
what kind of value hand would you expect to shove here as Doug? Oh, wait, he goes with a small raise. Wow, interesting.
Okay, well, if he goes with a small raise, then he probably doesn't play shoves. He just plays a small raise strategy.
Right.
They're a little deeper to start the hand, actually. I didn't realize that. So, yeah, I don't think he's going to play shoves. I think he's just going to use the smaller size. Value range, he's going to have some aces and kings pre that flat as they get it in. Doug needing some help on the river. He doesn't get there. Daniel dragging in the pots. Interesting line from Doug there. I'm certainly not saying it's bad. Doug's going to know that his raise call it off is fine there. But yeah, a little frustrating for Doug to flop top pair in a 4-bet pot and be up against the overpair of Daniel. A much needed pot going the way of Daniel Negreanu. He's been under it a little bit so far today. So that'll help him stem the flow a little bit. And also good for us because it means he might extend the match a little bit, as opposed to quitting at 2 hours.
And indeed. Yeah, those check raises with those top pairs in those spots, it seems... I mean, I know a few years ago it would have seemed really loose to me, but that was sort of before I realized how valuable it is to just deny that equity when they do fold.
Yeah.
You know, you get Daniel to fold a hand. Well, ace king specifically, when you have king jack, not a big deal because since they only have 3 outs. But you know, Daniel has a hand like ace 5 or something that bluffed pre-flop that now has just the 3 outs to suck out on Doug. So getting the fold for a min raise is pretty valuable. If you know your opponent's going to stick it in, you know, you don't check raise, but that's not how it works. You don't have that information. So
yeah. He also has the king of hearts, which is quite relevant as well, I guess.
Melted toast. Are you supposed to call a 4-bet with king jack off? I'm honestly not sure how you're supposed to play those spots. I'm pretty sure. Oh yeah, Bowie effect says, I mean, ace king still calls your check raise, so it's just value. So that's a great point. Ace king is probably not folding on the flop, but still value. Anyway, what Melted Toast asked about calling a 4-bet with king jack off. I think it's probably something you're supposed to do at least sometimes. I also imagine king jack just flats the open some of the time as well, but I'm not sure. I haven't really looked at in-depth heads up pre-flop sims, especially versus these very specific sizes of 960 at 200, 400. So especially with that stack depth a little deeper too. So it's very tricky to know for sure.
I have got the sims, guys. No, I don't. Have I got the sims? 1 second. No, I don't. Sorry. I thought I had pre-flop ranges, but I don't. My bad. So yeah, like I said, nice little pot going the way of DNeggs, pulling the deficit down to about 110k or so. It was getting a little ugly for him. He was down about 160k, which is of course 4 buy-ins.
Not as
very happy to.
When you say the dollar amount versus the buy-in amount, it really doesn't sound like as much, right?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Completely agree. Dog for real though says, Brady, you ever thought of a new poker variant? That's a pretty interesting question.
Yeah, there have been a handful of times I've come up with a variant, but I'm not going to plug any of those. I'd rather plug what's his name? I don't want to mess it up, so let me look. There's a game called Mossy Poker.
Okay.
If you guys Google Mossy Poker, we wrote an article about it, or it's actually Moss Poker, sorry. Moss Poker. Fantastic game that a tournament player named Matt Moss invented. It is an incredibly fun game. I put an article up about it on Upswing Poker and sent it out to our email list of several 100,000 poker players because I loved the game so much. I was having so much fun playing it with like my girlfriend and with friends and etc. Like everyone had fun with it. If you know the hand rankings, it's a fun game. And yeah, I would recommend you guys checking it out. I'll give you the quick rules. It's basically you get 10 cards and a flop.
Okay.
So if you and I are playing each other, we each get 10 cards and there's a flop. Then we have to set 5 2-card hold'em hands. One is worth 5. One is worth 5 points. One is worth 4 points, and so on down to 1. You can put them in any order you want. So the 5-point hand doesn't have to be your best or anything like that. And then once everyone's set, you deal the turn and river. Then you flip the cards up and you pay based on how many points you won. So it's just really fun because you get that element of the fun, like pineapple Chinese poker setting of hands, but you also get the fun turn and river sweats from holding. The sweat,
yeah.
So yeah, it's a very fun game. I recommend you guys checking it out, especially these days when we're all stuck inside, or a lot of us are stuck inside. Great game to play. You don't even need chips. You just need pen and paper to track who's up how many points.
And a degeneracy streak. We play a very similar game in the UK called 2 for 1. Slightly different, but it's really awesome. So I echo Mike's sentiment when he says to check out Moss Poker. Sounds like a lot of fun. I've met Matt Moss. I've played with him a little bit live. We have a mutual friend, and I played a hand versus Matt And then Matt told my mutual friend that I absolutely butchered it, and I was like, awesome, thanks very much. Good to know. Let's see what people are saying in the chat. Because I've hit a munchie, mate. Can you destroy another chocolate eclair and make me feel better? Unfortunately, I bought a pack of 2 and I ate them both. But I do have a frozen pizza in there that I'm going to fire in the oven when this is over. So it's midnight in the UK right now. I went for a nap at like 5 p.m. and then woke up at like 9:30 p.m. So I'm going to be awake all night now. And I'm just going to grind my ass off. It's going to be a lot of fun. Currently down 4K for the day. Hopefully we can get some of it back. Let's see what people are saying. Is it true that Prima Nocta tradition is still legal in Scotland? I don't know what that is. So
it's from Bird, I think. It's not
oh, okay.
It's not I don't think it's in effect.
Okay.
Mike McDonald Poker says that's my favorite Chinese poker variant, referring to Moss Poker. We added a rule where chops are invalid. That's a good idea, because the chops actually happen a fair bit. 888 Dominic says he would fold. That's Dominic Niche, for those who don't know.
Nice.
Very good tournament player. He says he'd fold the King Jack preflop in Doug's spot. So there is one strong opinion falling into the fold camp.
Let me just.
And then Lord Barr calls him a nit. What do you expect, Dom? Welcome to Twitch.
Dominic Niche looks very, very, very similar to a footballer that plays in Scotland by the name of Liam Donnelly. It's kind of creepy how much they look like each other.
I'm looking.
Do you see it?
I guess they look a bit alike, not a ton. I mean, now that Dom has that beard, I knew Dom before he had the beard, so I don't
really
think Dom beard. In fact, I don't. I don't picture him with a beard when I think about him. So, which is super.
I wish I could grow a beard.
Think about you very often.
Glossing over that real quick. 3-bet pot on the left-hand side.
Yeah, a moment ago we saw Doug drag a nice little pot. I think it was a 17 blind pot with just Queen High versus Daniel's 9 high. Always nice to win those. And on the left now we see Daniel c-betting for about 40% of the pot.
Somebody asks Brady and Gary, do you play short deck? I personally don't know about Mike.
Only a little, not really. Just once in a while. It's a pretty crazy game. The way you're supposed to play is the amount of shoves you're supposed to make pre-flop with like 100 or 50 antes is nuts. Like it's so different. Yeah. And like call off jams with Jack 10 suited because your equity is super good versus even like Ace King or Aces. I think you're favored against Ace King actually, Jack 10 suited. So yeah, it's a crazy game. I just don't know enough. On the left, we see Daniel's double barrel getting called.
Pretty big pot. Daniel has a whole bunch of hands that connect with this board pre-flop. Hands like 10-9 suited. We see a shove from Daniel. No snap from Doug. I think we can eliminate all flushes from his range now. Maybe with a hand like Jack 10, Jack 9.
Yeah, it could definitely have something like that.
About it. Even a hand like 9-8. Thinking about making the call. Let's see what he decides to do. Bear in mind that Daniel does love a random blast off from time to time, so it's not pure value in his range. He's going to have some Ace King, Ace Queen, King Queen with a spade. He has 2 pairs. Wow, a very nice pot for Daniel.
Yeah, Jack 9 versus Jack 8. Nice pot for Daniel there. He gets another big chunk back from what he was down today. Now down just about 75K or so.
Yeah, very nice comeback from Mr. Negreanu. Props to him for that.
Now we've got a very deep table on the left.
Yes, we do. Looking to see some blood on that.
Yeah, I don't think... Tough spot with the Jack 9 on that river, huh? Especially with no spade. I mean, with a spade, you obviously call, but with no spade, it's tough. Pretty tough.
Very tough spot. Very tough spot indeed. Props to Doug for making the call. I mean, it sounds like I'm needling him because he lost, but yeah, props to him for being able to make those hero calls because he is going to be right some of the time. You can also factor in a whole bunch of like king 10 with a spade and like queen 10 with a spade and ace 10 with a spade that Daniel's going to take that line with. So I think you can find enough bluffs for sure.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt. A lot of gutters with that one spade that are going to be happy to jam the river as a bluff.
Pretty big pot brewing on the left-hand side, 33.7 bigs in there. And that is also the size of the wager from DNeggs. He certainly has the wind in his sails right now. He has cut his deficit in half for the day. Doing very well indeed at this moment in time.
Doug, for real though, is it better or worse for Doug to have a 9 on that Jack 8, Jack 9 hand? Blocks the nuts, but also a lot of bluffs. You know, that's kind of the question you often ask yourself as a poker player. Is it better or worse to have a certain blocker?
Somebody says, has Gary never watched Braveheart? Braveheart, this might disappoint you, but it's not very accurate historically. So it's a myth that all Scottish people sit around watching Braveheart, eating haggis and playing the bagpipes. As we see a 4-bet on the left-hand side from DNeggs, we are super deep. And this is the kind of flop that we might just get some action on. 54 bigs in the middle. DNeggs with 211 bigs behind. We might see some blood here. I'm a little surprised that Daniel didn't use a larger 4-bet size, given how deep they are. But I'm sure he's got his reasons for that. Exceptionally Incompetent says, every time I make a hero call with minimal blockers, I'm just going to picture Gary giving me props for having 10 calls in my range. C-bet from Daniel, quick call from Doug. This is already a pretty chunky pot.
Yeah, interesting turn here. 81 blinds in the middle, and yet they still have about 2.5 pots behind. So we could see a very, very big pot here. Daniel does check back the turn.
Oh,
that doesn't cap his range quite as much as it would cap other players' ranges. At least, we've seen Daniel do some very strong checkbacks in spots like this. Is to make what I was about to say quite much shorter.
Yeah,
and
I agree.
Now we see Doug blocking the river, getting called.
Yeah.
By Ace King. Doug pipped there, Ace King versus Ace Jack in that 4-bet pot.
Another very frustrating one for Doug. As Daniel is props to Daniel, he's turned this around today. He wins a very chunky pot there, around about 50k or so 50K. Going his way.
Yeah, that cuts Doug's lead on the day to just about 50. As Gary said, the wind certainly behind Daniel right now.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is.
Commissioner Bolton says Ace King checkback on the double suited board is interesting there. Yeah, like I said, Daniel definitely more passive in those spots than I think a lot of people are. Not to say Ace King never checks back there, maybe it does, but it's if it does, it's probably a low frequency check back. It's a good hand. You want to get some money in there, win a bigger pot, especially against someone like Doug, who is not afraid of making those thin calls.
Yeah, for sure. And also, he'd like to check back the turn because on the flip side, Doug's going to bluff more, bluff at a correct frequency, much more than other people will. So Ace King plays as a pretty nice check back, snap call the river.
For sure. Yeah, we also saw him do that. We had a 4-bet pot much earlier in the challenge. It was one of the 4 or 5 times now that Doug has had kings versus Negreanu's aces. And in this one, they were very deep, I think about 100k deep, so potential for like a 200k pot. But Daniel decided to check back the turn when a very obscure straight came in. So that might have cost him a fair bit of money there. He ended up just getting a kind of a small block bet on the river at a Doug. So I only bring that up because we saw him check back aces in that situation where it's probably a hand that you should be betting almost always. And therefore, it's not super surprising to see the check back with Ace King.
Makes a lot of sense. Mike, I noticed that you haven't said for sure as much this evening. Is that an intentional? Are you trying to say it less, or is it just coincidental?
No, not necessarily. It just hasn't come up. Not enough things have been for sure today, I guess.
For sure. Sorry, bud. Von Gogh says Doug is mentally tough. He'll be fine. Yeah, absolutely. Whilst it would be nice if he won 1.5 million, I don't think it's going to massively change his life. I think whilst the money is nice, it's more about the glory of destroying your nemesis. But you're absolutely right. With regards to tilt, he doesn't strike me as the kind of guy that's going to get frustrated and start tilting. I think he's going to play pretty robotic in terms of leaving the emotion out of it.
Yeah, I would agree with what I know about Doug. 888 Dominic came in to correct sort of correct his earlier stuff. To add, it's probably a better phrase. So earlier he said that the King Jack off is not a call versus the 4-bet. It's a fold, is what his intuition said. He said he looked it up, and it's a mix at 100 big blind effective. So he'd fold, just to quote Dominic directly. So I'd fold at 125, but I could winning versus DNegs. That's to say that maybe Daniel plays a little bit more passive, and that thus allows Doug to realize a little more equity. Things of that nature. Could be. Hard to say.
This is awesome. Props to guys like Mike McDonald and Dominic Niche, Jay Farber and co coming in and dropping the knowledge. We absolutely love it. Thank you very much to you guys. Tricky Mix says, Gaza, who's your nemesis? Oh, good question. Who is my nemesis? That's an excellent question. Do I have a nemesis in poker? Yeah, I do, but I can't say who it is. Sorry. Right-hand sides, we have a 3-bet.
And on the left, we have Doug. We have Doug using a larger open size, going for 2.5 blinds instead of around that like 2.33. And then we see Daniel using a smaller 3-bet size. So that's kind of fun. Poker in 2021, guys.
It's all about those minimal adjustments. Gazivi's nemesis is Stella after she ditched him. She didn't ditch me. It was a mutual agreement, and it worked out very well for us. Yeah. Daniel checking across to Doug on the left-hand side. Let's see what Doug decides to do. Bets around about half pot. These guys are a little deeper. A lot deeper. Let's see what happens.
Big pot potential here. Since we're in the middle of this, we're not doing the thing where if Doug wins, if Doug breaks the record, I will cut my sleeves off. But I will do if Doug wins 275K today or more. I will cut my sleeves off and join Doug as a sleeveless man, because I'm sure he has no sleeves on right now.
And I'll go topless. Right. And I'll go topless. Sound good?
I still don't want no shirt. Can you just cut your sleeves like a team player?
I'm getting my tits out, Mike. That is an action river. If Doug is on like Jack 10, he's absolutely not loving that river. And Daniel with the aces, 3-bet, check, call. River goes check, check. Daniel has turned this session on its head, down approximately 30,000 or so now. Pretty awesome stuff from Daniel. The Poker Pro says, guys should just go pantsless. I am going pantsless, bruh. I promise you that. How many viewers have we got? We've got 1,150 on Twitch and 2,800 on YouTube. Big shout out to the 4,000 people that have joined us here on Upswing Poker. It's been a lot of fun so far. Daniel has dragged himself back into the match tonight. He was down approximately 170K, I want to say, so a little over 4 buy-ins. Yeah, he's made a game of it tonight. It's been a lot of fun so far. We're approaching the 2-hour mark. I'll be very surprised if this one is over at 2 hours. I would expect to see us continue a little longer, but we will see what happens in due course.
Small checkers from Doug on the left, basically minimum.
Call You Lose says, surely that guy who sits out to avoid the blinds and the add-on going south on the button has to be the nemesis. Yeah, I don't know him that well, so I wouldn't say he's the nemesis. He's just a dick. Such a dick move. So, Mike, we're playing live in London. We start a new table. We draw for the button, right? So the
Sure.
button is going to be seat 5. So the guy in seat 7 says, "Oh, dealer, deal me out. I'm not ready yet. I'm not ready yet." Stands up, waits a few hands, and then comes in the cutoff, and he doesn't have to post. Pretty scummy, right?
Yeah, and it's like for one blind. It's crazy to do that.
I completely agree. Not only that, but the floor, I got the floor over, and the floor, like, yeah, he can do that. Like, so the dealer is drawing for the button. I don't know I can't remember how you do it in America, but he does like cards face up and whatever. Yeah. And this guy is like, okay, let's draw for the button, and then is drawn into the big blind, is like, deal me out. I'm not ready to come into the game yet. Like, how fucking scummy is that? And the floor just fucking let him away with it. It's like, you can't. It's so unfair on the rest of the players. Like, you've got to protect the integrity of the game.
I just think they're probably thinking, pick your battles. Like, just let him rob these guys of, like, you know, quarter blind of equity. But it's brutal. It's brutal.
It's just so like infuriating. And then a couple of days later, we start a table. 3-bet on the right hand side. We'll keep an eye on that. We start a table, and then he's on the button to start, and he says, "Dealer, I'm playing." So he's got like 500 in chips, and he says, "Dealer, I'm playing 500 behind." While the chip runner's getting him extra chips, and then when he's going to be in the big blind, the chip runner brings his chips, and he says, "Actually, dealer, I'm not going to play that 500 behind. I'm going to put it in my pocket." And the dealer says, "Yeah, no problem, no worries at all." And that time I was like, fuck no, get the floor. Because like he can just free roll and wait for aces playing 1k effective. And then when it's his turn, he has to put money in the pot. He's like, actually, I'm going to play 500. I was like, no, not allowed to do that. 3-bet pot on the right hand side, c-bet on the flop. We're
another 7-2-2 board.
Yeah. Jeff Hancock says, where in London was that guy? So I don't go. It was the Hippodrome. Albie Durer says, more money is better than less money. What's so confusing about his decision? You are not going to get me. I'm not going to let you trigger me, bud.
Not gonna let you trigger me. Not today, chat.
Got a beautiful voice on you there, Mike.
Thanks, bro. Couple 8 blind pots happening. Daniel drags the one on the right. No showdown on the left. Peter says on YouTube, says, man, I left for 5 minutes and complete turnaround. How? Daniel won a few big pots. Pretty simple stuff. Yeah. Stacked Doug in a 4-bet pot with aces versus Doug's top pair. The other big pots are currently not hitting me, but he won a couple others, and that's how he has the stacks he currently has, which are, as you can tell from the win-loss number, still all of his own money that he has bought in for. So he's still down a little bit today, despite having the massive stack advantage.
Yeah. Guys, I'm going to lose the YouTube chat just for 10 seconds or so. So if you've got any questions, please either hold them or repost them in just a few seconds. Just having to do something on my computer here. Just bear with me 1 second.
Dog for real though says, question for Doug, where do you think your game is right now in comparison to when you were grinding heads up full time? Are there certain areas you've improved? That's actually been one we've asked him once or twice. He basically said he threw out his entire game before when he started studying for this challenge. He essentially started from scratch. Granted, it's not really starting from scratch when you've played a lot, but as we see Daniel's block value bet get paid off on the right. But in any case, he threw out his whole game, started to work on it from essentially scratch. And yeah, he said when we did ask him, and you could go check out the interviews post-match, there's probably a good 7 hours of Doug interview content if you want to check those out and just skip to the end of each stream on YouTube or something. But he said that he played some spots well before, and he certainly did certain things really well, especially for the time. but he was also doing a lot of stuff, incorrectly, just as you'd expect.
Right, we're back on YouTube, and I can see all the questions. Was the guy from Latvia? No, he was from London. But yeah, somebody has listed some of the hands that Daniel has won over the past 45 minutes or so, and it's clear to see that he's caught some heat. He's caught some pretty dicey heat, and it's frustrating for Doug. But it happens. As we keep saying, the variance in these games is crazy, and these guys will be swinging back and forth a lot over the course of the entire challenge. So Doug has got to just get on with it. Essentially, he can't let it get to him. He can't get frustrated. He's just got to get on with it, and the variance will hopefully even itself out. Alice Alskavator is Gary's favorite poker hand for sentimental reasons rather than purely by the chart. Jack 9 of hearts, not like 9 Jack of hearts. It's got to be the Jack of hearts and the 9 of hearts.
In that order?
In that order, yeah. What about you guys in the chat? Anyone else got something really funky like that? I'd be curious to know. I love this sort of stuff. What is your favorite hands? Mike, don't say aces, Mike. Don't be that guy and say aces.
I like a Queen Jack of hearts, something like that. Queen Jack of spades.
Yeah.
I like those hands.
Jeff P and Albie Juror at the same time said King Queen of diamonds. You guys should PM each other and become best friends, in my opinion. That's pretty awesome. Got some King Deuce, 10-8 of clubs, 10-7 of hearts, Jack 8 of hearts. Thank you very much, Ronalds. Immer says aces. 8-5 of spades. Nice, guys. 9-7 of diamonds. Awesome, guys. Really cool stuff. Nobody said aces. Well, a couple of guys said aces. Queen of clubs, queen of clubs. Nice.
There was a live poker game Doug played in once where that hand was actually possible. They dealt out a board as Doug was in a hand against someone else, and it came ace, queen of clubs was the flop.
No way.
Yeah, on a televised Poker Central cash game.
That's infuriating. I've never seen that in the flesh before. I've heard stories, I've heard legends of it happening, but I've never actually seen it in the flesh. Guys, there's a slight lull in the action. We'll definitely keep an eye on it. But for the moment, there's a slight lull in the action, so please do bear with us. We have a 6-9 off bounty in my home game. Awesome. 7 deuce off because it's the easiest hand to play. I like your logic.
Pretty edgy. 6-9 prop bet.
Yeah, I see where you're going with that. 3-bet pot on the right hand side, 3-bet pot on the left hand side. I will let my man Mike Brady step in and call the action.
Yeah,
I can't handle it when it's 2 at once, Mike. You just got to take over for me, please.
It is a lot. It's a lot. Doug with a tiny c-bet on the right, about 7th of the pot, roughly, does get through. We see a lot of those small sizes on monotone boards, so makes sense to see that from Doug. And on the left, it's D-Negs as the 3-better. He's not going to c-bet like Doug did. He's going to check. D-Negs now 3-betting on the right as well. Doug bets when checked to on the left for about a little less than 1/3 of the pot. King 7-2 on the right in a 3-bet pot. That's definitely going to be better for D-Negs as the 3-better. He's going to have more of the King X hands, particularly Ace King, but he decides to check nonetheless. Check on the flop on the right.
Bet on the left going in from Doug.
Yeah, it's a second barrel from him here.
Daniel 3-bet and then check call flop, right?
That's right.
Gets it through.
So Doug's in for, Doug's in for about 105K right now, guys. Maybe 110K is our approximation. So that's how you can kind of follow along with who's up how much.
This is an interesting hand on the right hand side. Doug
Pot size.
potting the turn. You'd have to feel that's a pretty good river for Doug. His 6-8's getting there. And obviously his diamonds. Yeah, for sure. Let's see what happens.
Doug's going to let Daniel win with the 2-10s with the diamond. Daniel certainly happy to get that showdown there and not have to face a big bet.
A couple of things I want to address in the chat real quick, guys. Green Machine says, Gaz, would you rate Peter Clark as one of the best online cash coaches? I have never worked with Peter Clark, but from what I hear good things about him. So I'm a Pio solver coach, and I was actually thinking of messaging Peter Clark and asking him to be my Pio coach. So yeah, don't know too much about Peter, but from what I hear, he's a very respected coach. And Luke London says, Gary, will you be twitching later so we can see you get that 4K back? Maybe. That's a good shout. I've never done a 1 a.m. Twitch stream before, but if you guys want to check it out, twitch.tv/GazzyB12345. Maybe be back in the streets a little later on this evening, but we'll see. We'll cross that bridge when we come to it.
SX Shark just said in chat, will Doug be able to use a software to track his hands after the challenge is over? I think yes. I don't know why after the challenge is over, the rules would still be in effect that you can't use tracking software. So I'd expect yes. But I'm going to ask him so we can get the answer straight from him. And I'm also going to ask him if he plans to, because I don't think that's necessarily a given. It's basically just, is he interested in studying these hands, looking at how his red line look, all that stuff, which I would think he is, but we'll definitely ask him when he joins us at the end of play today. If you guys have any other questions for Doug, keep getting those in. Drop in the chat question for Doug, and then drop your question.
Feel free to ask Mike and myself some questions as well, guys. We appreciate you guys tuning in. We're happy to answer your questions as we have a pretty chunky pot developing on the right-hand side. Daniel betting a little under half on the turn, around about 40% or so. Doug calls, checks the river. Is Daniel gonna drill it in? Let's see.
Just over pot size bet behind here.
The only realistic straight is 4-3 suited, which I think Daniel is the only one can have. I don't think Doug 3-bets that pre-flop. And so I don't think he check calls it on the turn if he does 3-bet it. So let's see what happens. Dean Eggs in the tank. If Dean Eggs wins a stack here, he has gone from being down 160k to in profit. He checks it back, and Doug with the ace king. Gonna lose that one. Daniel winning a pretty nice 26k pot to put him very close to even for the day.
Very close. Doug's in for about 133k right now. So any pot could easily put us back to Daniel in the profit, which is something he's been used to. As those of you who were here at the beginning heard, Daniel is on a 5-session winning streak. He's trying to make it 6 today.
Gary, your favorite place to play in LA? The Commerce. If I go to LA, I only play in the Commerce, unless I'm playing on live at the bike, which has only happened once. But yeah, the Commerce is my favorite place. Couple more questions in the chat as we see Doug with a boat on the left-hand side, pulling in a pot of around about 10k, a little under that, maybe about 9k or so.
Yeah, Daniel opting to check back the river with just 10 high.
Think he's using an RNG for that spot? No, Daniel bet the river.
Oh, he bet the river. My mistake. Oh, he bet small. Okay, my bad. Yeah, you said under 10k pot. That's what it was. So I was confused.
Yeah, my fault, because I saw the pot going the way of Doug, and then I looked to the stream and I saw it was 10k, and I just said it was a 10k pot. Yeah, sorry, man. Yeah, a couple of things I want to address in the chat real quick. Hey, Gary, can you move your mic away a bit? Sure. Sorry, bud. There you go. What else have we got? Gary, how come you were so reluctant to play at a specific table earlier? Were you waiting for Fish to join before you jumped in, or were the guys currently sitting too good? A little bit of both. The 5-10 reg tables on stars are very, very, very tough if there are no fun players in there. So some of them I want to play because there are some regs I think I'm maybe doing okay against. but a lot of the time it's just like 4 or 5 crushers just sitting around waiting for a fun player to join, which I'm not about that life. As we see, a pot-sized bet from Dean Eggs on the turn. River goes check, check, and Doug's pair of 8s gonna take it down. Daniel had a lot of draws on the turn, perhaps deciding not to bluff them on the river. 9.2k pot going the way of Doug. Let's see what else we can...
Yeah, Doug's up about half a buy-in or so today. Certainly not a ton. And he's not going to be too happy considering, he was up 160 at one point, but session's not over. He could still get that back, or he could still lose.
Yeah. Mike, we got a great question. I'm going to let you answer this one. Question for Mike and Gary. How do you recover motivation after being semi-pro and losing a bit of the hunger? Not sure what direction to take on or off poker. Thank you. That's a great question.
So just how do you get the passion back in a way, or how do you approach it? I mean, everyone's different, is kind of the important thing. So you're going to have to do what makes sense for you and kind of feel it out. But I know what works for me often is a break from the game completely. Don't even pay attention to poker streams and stuff. Just completely divorce yourself from the game for a little while. Remind yourself why you like it. When you kind of obsess over something, especially poker, which has so many stresses and so many ups and downs, it's going to be really easy to burn out, which is probably what you're feeling right now, a form of burnout of some kind. So, just experiment with different things, take breaks, play other games, perhaps video games or other competitive games, perhaps like a chess, something like that. And then maybe you'll come back to poker when it calls you. That happened to me. I was working on upswing poker for a couple of years. I barely played in the first 2 years I was working on it after hanging up the hoodie, so to speak, no longer playing professionally. And eventually it kind of just struck me and I felt like playing again. And I play a couple hours a week now, just a hobby. But that's a much healthier relationship with poker than I had back when I was a pro or in those 2 years when I was taking a break from it.
I really agree with what Mike says, and the only thing I'll add is definitely don't force it, because it will only drive you further away. So do not force yourself to play. Yeah, the hunger will come back in due course. So definitely don't force it, and don't feel guilty. It's completely okay to not want to play from time to time. Just take some time to yourself and don't force it. But that's a great question. What else have we got in the chat? Can you propose a final 500 hands delayed cards up session for the loyal viewers? I think there's no chance of that happening, unfortunately. Sorry, buds.
No shot. Nice pot for Doug on the right, 2 pair. About 10k going his way or so.
Gary, since you don't smash computer monitors anymore as much these days, how do you blow off steam on a bad beat? It's kind of weird. I don't think bad beats really affect me anymore. I never ever thought I'd get to that stage where I just don't get tilted at a bad beat. I get momentarily frustrated and I say, are you fucking serious? Or for God's sake, something along those lines. But yeah, I don't think I get tilted anywhere near as much, and I don't really blow off any steam anymore. It's awesome. Mental game guru, Gazzy B. Who would have thought? GG or Poker Stars. I used to stream on behalf of GG and I really enjoyed it, but it just didn't quite work out. So whilst I don't have anything bad to say about GG, my own preference would be Poker Stars. Have you played any small stakes at the Hippodrome? Played a little bit of 1-2 in my time. It's always a lot of fun. Games can be sometimes really good, sometimes really bad. It just depends.
Mike McDonald talking about Pokemon speedrunning in chat with someone. Mike, can you shed some light on that? What Pokemon game do you speedrun? Is it the originals, or is there another game I'm missing? I had no idea that was the thing, Pokemon speedrunning. Well, I figured it would be, but
I've seen the Pokemon Blue speedrun. It's an Australian guy. It's absolutely fascinating. Essentially, what he does is he gets a Nidoking and just fucking runs with it, and it's really cool. But it's yeah, it's pretty awesome stuff.
So he gets that. Does he do any glitches to skip parts of the game or anything, or does he literally just run through the whole game on the whole map?
The glitched speedrun is so boring. It's so boring. But this guy does like a glitchless speedrun, and I believe he holds the world record. And yeah, he just gets a Nido King, gives it, is it Fisher? And then he uses like the X accuracy, and he just like smashes everyone. It's really awesome. It's really cool to see, and there are no glitches.
I'll have to check that out. Sounds interesting. Daniel getting a bet through on the left.
Hot Dom says, Gazzy, when you're hitting the craps table at Borgata, I would love nothing more than to shoot some dice, man. It has been too long. I like to just chill out, have a few drinks, and play in the pits with the boys when we're invading summer. It's for fun. But yeah, my preferred pits game would be craps. Do you have a preferred pits game, Mike?
Preferred pits game?
Yeah, like blackjack or
craps
or anything like that. Yeah,
Pai Gow.
Oh, Pai Gow. Oh, I think we've had this conversation actually.
Yeah, Pai Gow is next level fun.
Awesome.
It's really slow, which is, in my opinion, good for a pit game. Big pot brewing on the right, by the way.
Yeah, 3-bet and C-bets.
I think it was actually check from Doug on the flop after 3-betting, and then Daniel bet. So Daniel does have the betting initiative here.
Checks it back.
Ace of clubs on the river. I think Doug has a little bit more of the aces that check call the flop, an ace king or an ace 10 type hands, but hard to say for sure. Pocket tens. Looks like Daniel had a hand like 9x or 8x there.
Mm-hmm. Makes a lot of sense. Pretty nice. A bit of a relief for Doug there to have to be able to just check it down and win.
I can definitely see him deciding that that's a bluff race on the river should he face a bet. I could see that happening, but maybe more of a call. What do you think? Do you think that's going to fall more into the considering call camp or considering raise camp?
Really not sure. Really not sure. Probably considering a raise, given it. Although Daniel checks the turn, so blocking Jack 10 isn't that relevant.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of dicey. I'm really not sure. I think it's a classic Doug Polk spot where all three options are on the table.
Yeah, definitely.
Getting a lot of questions in the chat, guys. We will get through them as quickly as possible when there is a lull in the action. Obviously, we're here to call the action. Somebody says, let's hear the Jonathan Little story. No, not allowed to, unfortunately. It's a lot of fun, though.
Jeff Remke has brought up Tony Hawk in chat so many times. I think he wants me to talk about it. My Tony Hawk hobby. You're not going to get me. Not today.
Can I get you? Are you a Tony Hawk fan?
Well, sure. Yeah, I mean he's from San Diego, where I am. So of course I'm a fan of him for that reason. But also the video game is what this guy's talking about, and I'm a big fan of it. Been playing it for like 22 years now. So of course.
Sick. What's your favorite? Mine is Tony Hawk 4.
Oh, well, I like the new one now. The one.
Oh, is there a new one?
Yeah, it's a remastered re-release of 1 and 2. So
that's no
my
way.
Favorite, because it has all the modern controls plus the old levels that I remember. So that's by far my favorite. 15 blind bet from Daniel. And it does get called. Doug looks him up with just a pair of fours. Nice bluff catch from Doug there. On the left, Doug is going for a half pot bet. Is that half? A little less than half.
About 40% or so. While we're waiting for Daniel to respond, I remember the helicopter in Tony Hawk's 2, the hangar level. Is that a thing?
Yeah, the hangar, for sure. That's the level that I have my highest score, 24 million.
24 million, you legend.
Yeah, that's a fun level. You get to do some crazy stuff on that one.
Mm-hmm.
8 on the turn. It's probably going to be more Daniel's card in general. I think Doug is still going to have the overall advantage here, but when it comes to who has more 8s, it's going to be Daniel almost certainly. He's going to definitely 3-bet, call some 4-bets with 9-8 suited, etc.
Yeah,
Doug's turn bet
fold from Daniel. It's interesting to note there, I'm pretty sure Daniel is checking back aces always on the turn if he's the pre-flop aggressor, whereas Doug is just like betting aces like 80% of the time.
Yeah, for sure. And I could see it being a little different if or considering how deep they are, because they're very deep. So maybe that means he does a wee bit more checking. But Doug is definitely going to go a lot harder on that turn with aces than Daniel will.
For sure. Big Sailor says the commentary just got nerdy. It's always been nerdy, my friend. It's always been nerdy. Akin says, how was it stacking Ginge at 500 Zoom today with kings versus aces? It was pretty cool, not because it was Ginge, but because it wasn't all in pre-flop and I pinged a king on the turn, which means my EV line was saved. But I think that's the only stack I won all day today. I'm down about 8 buy-ins. It's been a tough day. Question for both Mike and Ghazi. I'll let you go first, Mike. What are your top 3 video games of all time?
Oof,
That is a tough one.
that's really
While
tough.
Mike's thinking, I'll go civil. Yeah, you want to go?
I got it. I maybe not in this order, but it's Mario Kart, Tony Hawk, and then it's either the Kingdom Hearts series or the Pokemon series. If I can pick the whole series, otherwise I'd pick one of the games within that series.
Okay. Mine would be Civilization 3, Commandos Behind Enemy Lines, and Tomb Raider 2.
Oh, nice.
But Super Mario All Stars has got to get a special mention because I fucking love that shit.
Yeah, I love the Mario games, especially Kart. But I like the platformers too. And we're back. Daniel sat out for a moment there, but he's back.
Gonna tell a very, very, very nerdy story. So when I was like 19, 20-ish, I spent a good few days trying to complete the world records for the fastest for a speed run on Super Mario 3 World 1 Level 1. And I tried and tried and tried and tried, and I did really well sometimes. I got really close to perfect. And then I did a little bit more investigating, and apparently the world record is held by like a computer who has slowed the game down to like 1/1000th of the actual time, and it literally can't be done any faster. And I was like, what a waste of like 4 days me trying to complete a record that can't ever be broken.
Well, you probably got pretty damn good at that game, right? So that's
just that one level, yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, I was gonna say that's worth something, but maybe it's not actually. I don't know.
Shout out to Fitzy E saying 8 buy-ins sounds excessive. I see what you did there, bud. I see what you did there. Poor Fitzy E. We were meant to do a coaching session tonight, and I had a 5-hour nap instead. And he was completely chill about it. And he was like, "Don't worry about it. See you tomorrow."
You know you're getting the thing is you kind of have to take the good with the bad because if you have a good poker player coaching you, there's a good chance they will nap sometimes. That's just
for sure.
A lot. Like Ryan Fee, for example, that guy is sleeping at all hours of the day. If you shoot a message to Ryan Fee at 2 p.m., 3 a.m., it's like roughly the same likelihood he's awake or asleep. Raise from Daniel on the left.
A big raise.
Yeah. He's making about 16, a little less than 16K over 4. Gets the fold. Doug on a bit of an uptick right now compared to where he was a moment ago. So to recap the session for those of you who have maybe just funneled in, Doug won several big pots early, including an aces versus queens, all in pre-flop cooler. He was up about 160K at one point. Then Daniel charged back. He found a few big pots of his own, including his aces versus top pair, Doug's king jack on a jack high board in a 4-bet pot. So, of course, you expect to get stacked in that situation. Hard to not get stacked when you have top pair in a 4-bet pot, and it's not good. But so Daniel cut Doug's lead to around 10K maybe at the low point, and low point for Doug, and now it's back to around 70. Doug's in for about 133K at the moment total. So if he has about 65 on the right table, 133 on the left, so 65, 70K is up right now.
A couple of things I want to talk about in the chat real quick. Strike It Up, I appreciate the knowledge. I did not know that. Thanks very much. I got to get back to the Super Mario grind. We do have a pretty chunky pot on the right-hand side. I will shut up if anything interesting happens there. Windern says, trash commentary, Gary. Thanks very much for that. Jared Doherty says, do you play many blowout series events on Stars? When I was a recreational player, I used to ping tournaments on Stars for fun. I won 11K, a bunch of like 5, 6, 7K scores. Now that I'm a professional poker player, my graph just tanks. It's despicable.
You're not playing for survival anymore. Now you're playing for math, and
that's probably it, to be honest.
As you know, that's not the way to go. That's a reference to my favorite WSOP clip of all time. If anyone can tell me where that's from, you get a free Upswing T-shirt. That would be fantastic.
Oh, I have no idea.
Math or survival.
I'm curious to see what it's
Oh,
actually from.
boat on the table on the left, and on the right we have Doug going for an overbet into this already very big
Oh,
pot.
wow.
83 blinds into 55 blinds. Almost a full buy-in size bet from Doug there. Gets called. Does get the full value. That is a very juicy bet. Very juicy bet. Doug's going to win a more than a full buy-in in that pot. Wow.
Yeah.
Nice value bet from Doug.
22k in the middle. He bets 33k, 1.5x. Awesome stuff. Absolutely awesome stuff. Winning a very cool 90k pot. Jared Doherty, the answer is no. I don't play any tournaments on stars because I am terrible. Let me quickly read through any other questions.
Alex Clements asked me, or asked us, guys, in all caps, which I appreciate. What stakes games did you play when you were first starting? I did something pretty funny, actually. So I was 17, 16 when I started. I realized that you are allowed to play for real money on the internet. I actually thought it was illegal for some reason. This was back in 2008-ish. And I asked my parents, could I please put like $5 on just so I'm playing for something, so when I'm practicing it's worth something, and they didn't want me to. So what I did is I built up 500,000 play money and sold it to a website that bought play money for $5.
Okay.
I ran that up at 1 cent, 2 cent, but then lost it all one night after running it up to a big number, playing 25 cent, 50 cent pot limit deuce to 7 triple draw. Didn't know how to play.
What the
I don't know what I was thinking. Ran my roll from like $30, which I had built at 1 cent, 2 cent, to like 150 to 0 in that night. So what I did then was I bought play chips from the guy from the site and then resold them. So I bought play chips for like $12 and then sold them to the same guy for $5. So I essentially, as we see Daniel getting paid off on the right with a boat. So I essentially paid $12 to deposit $5 on stars through play money purchases. And then that's where I was able to get my roll going a little bit better. But yeah, that first one, I was so devastated.
That's amazing. That's the best story I've ever fucking heard. I bet you felt so devastated when you lost that $150. Like so devastated.
I was devastated, but it was the same night. Like in that night, a black chip went my way. A black $100 chip on Poker Stars. So I won like $110 pot at one point. So I can point to that digital black chip being pushed my way as basically why, like, it's the domino effect. That's why I'm like here right now. That's why I became a professional poker player. I was like, wow, this is doable. I don't know how to play this game, but I won $100 pot, and these people seem bad. So I kind of changed everything. So even though I lost it, I guess it worked out. And I don't know what I'd be doing otherwise, so maybe it didn't. But
that's amazing. That's such a cool story, man. Congrats. That's so cool.
Where'd you start at?
I went pro with $1,500 to my name and played 50 NL and had no like track record of ever beaten the games or anything like that. In hindsight, looking back, I'm so lucky that I ran well at that time, because I would have probably gone bust, and fuck knows where I would be right now, to be honest. Not even worth thinking about. Lazily happily, yes, you should go to the EPT and free roll that, man. Do it. Get it done. Yeah, I know I keep saying it, but we genuinely do mean it. Thank you very much for those that have joined. We've got approximately 4,000 viewers over 2 platforms. Really enjoying the show. Very cool that Doug is up about 3 buy-ins or so. Get your questions in for us. If you want to ask Mike something, if you want to ask me something, if you want to ask Doug something, we'll be doing a post-game interview. So yeah, get your questions and stuff in, guys. Ooh, Troll Kong has answered your
He said it's Phil Helmy for the math or survival thing. That's not he said it, but that's not what I'm referring to. And I don't think you can Google it. It's a very, very obscure WSOP clip. Very obscure. I'll give you guys a hint though. It was with less than 100 players, more than 10 players left in the WSOP main in the period of between 2006 and 2013. Okay, that's a pretty good hint. Free t-shirt up for grabs if you can say who said that math or survival. Quote, is it about math or is it about survival? Deep into the WSOP main.
It's not Mike Brady quote. It's not something you tweeted that you want to see if anyone remembers.
I'm just way up my own ass. Just trying to
Eric Swell says, Mike and Gary, can you share with us your favorite YouTube channels that are not poker related? I am not a YouTube kind of guy, so it'll have to be Mike Brady who answers that one.
What was the question?
Can you share with us one of your favorite YouTube channels that are not poker related?
Just that comes to the top of my mind, Kit Boga's really funny. He does these videos where he basically, you know, the scammers that call you on the phone, they're like, hey, I have your social security number, or I'm from Microsoft, you have to call me and get your computer fixed, and they like remote in your computer, try to scam you somehow. They mostly do it to old people. They're super predatory. It's basically the guy's whole channel is just wasting those people's time as much as possible and fucking with them. So he just he actually streams on Twitch for like 10 hours at a time, just trolling these people and trying to keep them on the line. That way they're not scamming other real people.
Other people, yeah, for sure. That's awesome.
They are really I don't watch on Twitch because it's just a little bit too much. Like it's so long, but you can watch sort of highlight videos on his YouTube channel. So those are really good.
Excellent. Sounds really cool. I do have one answer. So it's not a channel because I'm not really on YouTube that much, but it would be a video. So the guy who made the video is called Summoning Salt, and the video is called Super Mario Bros. 4-2. Very easy to find. 20-minute video, and it breaks down how speedrunners approach a specific spot within Super Mario and how they can just gain like an extra like quarter of a second or something like that. It's really interesting stuff. It's really cool stuff. So I would recommend checking it out if you're into that sort of thing. It's 20 minutes and it's genuinely fascinating.
Yeah, as we still have a bit of a lull in the action, so please bear with our off-topic conversation. But just to add something to that Kit Boga thing, Pappy Van Winkle 23 said he also acquires bank account info and from the scammers and then collaborates with the FBI. So that's pretty cool. I didn't know that.
Oh, wow. That's awesome.
All by Durer got the question correct. It's the Paul Snead versus Scott Montgomery hand from the 2000, I believe, 7 WSOP main event.
Wow.
Was it 2007? No, I think it was later than 2007. My mistake there. But Snead, it's an amazing hand. A truly amazing hand. 4-bet from Daniel on the left.
Is Scott Montgomery the guy that started crying when he got...
All for 200 blinds from Doug.
Oh, wow.
No, that was Matt Affleck that you're talking about, who cried when he got the aces versus jacks. That was brutal. I don't blame him for crying.
No, it was the guy that had like the second nut flush versus the nut flush. And he was like, I played perfect poker for 4 days and blah, blah, blah.
Was that against Darvin Moon? Do you remember?
I can't remember.
If it was that, then I'm not sure. I'd have to see it. I don't think so, though. Scott Montgomery. So the hand is pretty fantastic. I'll recap the hand really quick. But if you guys want to see just in my opinion, the funniest World Series of Poker moment, Google search the Snead versus Montgomery hand. But it goes, Snead opens middle late position. It's kind of hard to say because back in those days, they didn't have the broadcasts super sharp with the positions like they do now. But he opens from like middle late position. Scott Montgomery 3-bets out of the blinds with ace-3 off. Paul Snead calls with jack-7 of hearts. This is like 22 left in the game. Flop is jack-9-4 with 1 heart, 2 diamonds, I believe. Scott Montgomery c-bets. Paul Snead basically min raises with his top pair. Montgomery ships it for like not quite a min raise, but it's not much. I don't even think it's double the total amount that Snead put in there. And then Snead tanks for like, it seemed like, based on the editing, like 8 minutes. Tiffany Michelle actually famously called the clock on him during the hand. And then another guy who made the final table was like, that's not cool. It was a lot of drama around that too. And eventually Snead stands up. He like stands up, like he gets up and he stretches like this. He's stretching like this and he's like, is it about math or survival? If it's about math, I got to be it's about survival. And he's just tanking like that. He eventually calls, turns a backdoor flush draw to cut out one of Scott Montgomery's outs, and then Scott Montgomery bangs the offsuit ace on the river.
Oh, no way!
Devastating.
That's amazing. Although he deserves to lose for that fucking 8-minute tank for a min 3-bet on the flop or something like that.
Yeah, it's funny.
That's amazing.
We have someone in chat who was actually at that table, Elon Schwartz, who went on to Chessmaster and Poker Pro, who went on to Final Table that event. Congrats to you,
No
Elon.
way.
Elon's belated congrats, several years belated. But he was actually at the table, and I knew he was in chat too, so I was wondering if he was going to say anything about it, but he decided to let someone else get that free T-shirt. Appreciate that, Elon. Spread the wealth.
That is awesome. That's so cool, man. That's a great story as well. The Truth says, Guy, do you play more cash games or tournaments? I'm purely a cash game player. I play some live tournaments in Vegas over the summer. But yeah, I'm not very good at tournaments. I'm not very good at cash games either, to be fair. But yeah, you guys can see me on twitch.tv/GazzyB12345 if you're interested in watching the stream. I might stream after this is all done. I'll let you guys know. I'm keeping an eye on the pool, and it's not looking great right now, to be honest. But yeah, I'll let you for sure.
It was the 2007 main event, by the way. Sorry, my correction there. I'm just seeing if I could find it on YouTube, so I don't have to make you guys go hunt it down. It was if someone could, that'd be great. It was the 2008 WSOP with 21 players left, blinds at I think 50K, 100K. So you should be able to find it if you go on like YouTube 2008 WSOP. If any of you has the time and is willing to look that up real quick, that'd be great if you could drop it in the chat and I could link it to everyone. Vincent Sperezza says, I remember that hand. Tiffany Michelle said, honey, it's for a lot of money and I'm short right now. Which is funny. she had 50 blinds at that point, so not that.
Oh wow!
But nonetheless, I personally was not that upset about the clock call. I mean, the guy was tanking like a click back 3-bet for 10 minutes.
I would call the clock after like 3 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, deep in the main, it's not really something you're supposed to do too much, but it felt like a special case to me. And I wasn't at the table, so I don't really know how long it was, what it felt like, etc.
Have you ever called the clock on someone before, Mike?
A handful of times. I don't do it much. Nice 11K pot for Daniel on the left there. Top pair with trips. Or more than 11K? No, it was 11K.
Yeah, it was about 11K. Yeah, slight lull in the action, guys, which is why we're talking about, WSOP hands and Super Mario and stuff like that. So please do bear with us. We will call the action as the hands come up, as we see a 3-bet on the left-hand side from Doug. It's been a pretty swingy table, that left-hand table. Still the potential for a very large pot. Dug up about 3 buy-ins for the day, there or thereabouts. But yeah, it's been a fun one. Thoroughly enjoyed it.
Yeah, it has been good. Looks like my cam might be frozen. Let's see if I can fix that.
No, I can still see you. Oh, it's frozen on the YouTube page, yeah. Oh, I've lost the tables.
Yeah, I'll message our guy here. Make sure he realizes.
Oh, yeah, okay, gotcha. So we have a guy who shares the tables, so we don't have a delay in our commentary. Just bear with us 1 second, guys, while we get them back. It's just going to take a couple of seconds. Read some questions in the chat in the meantime. Guy, favorite poker books for small micro stakes, small stakes cash? I am not a fan of reading poker books. I think they become outdated pretty quickly. Although I have never read one in my life. But if you want to get better, I'm not just saying this because I'm on the Upswing stream, but head over to Upswing Poker and you'll find a lot of content there that will help you improve your game. I'm sure Mike can tell us a little bit more about that.
Of course, I can. But
yeah,
I am going to give you guys a little break from the Upswing ads. But if you do want to improve your Upswing, your skills in the game of poker, any type of game of poker for the most part, head over to upswingpoker.com, click the training tab, browse those amazing courses we have. There's even a personality quiz you can take that will tell you what course is best for you. So you can check that out as well.
I've just realized that I can make everything bigger and I can stay away from the webcam because apparently I'm too close to it. Yeah, we have some technical issues on our side as we see a pot size bet from Doug on the King Queen Jack 4 getting through 10K into 10K. Please do bear with us.
Decatur says in chat, I took a personality quiz and I got Phil Hellmuth on drugs. What does that mean? I don't know, man. Are you Phil Hellmuth on drugs by chance?
Mike, do you want me to join the other call? It looks like there's 2 calls going on.
Yeah, I'm adding you to a new one. He's going to share there.
So I'm going to end the first call and join the second one, yeah?
Yep. Thank you for bearing with us, guys. Lot of moving parts on these streams because neither Gary nor I is in a legal state for WSOP.com, so we need someone to screen share the tables for us on Skype. You might ask, well, why don't you just watch the stream? Well, if we watch the stream, our commentary will be a few seconds delayed. Everything we say will happen a little bit after it actually happened, so that's why we need that.
Can you see the tables now, Mike?
No, not yet. But I'm gonna keep an eye on the stream. It should be fine.
Excellent stuff. Brendan Christensen rightly calling me out for a nonsensical thing I just said, and I realized I had said it at the time. I'm not a fan. I don't think they've kept up with the game. I've never read one in my life. Yeah, it's mental that I come up with that.
It looks like we lost the tables on the stream too.
Yeah, guys, bear with us 1 second. We're just having some technical issues here. Please do bear with us 1 second.
Yeah, our stream runner's on it, guys. Thank you for bearing with us for a moment. Sometimes stuff happens when you're live, you know? Just how it goes.
Exactly, yeah. We will quickly find out what's going on. Please do bear with us. As we have an all-in on the left table.
Big all-in too.
Big all-in. Looks like a bet from Doug, a raise from Daniel, and an all-in from Doug.
Thanks for bearing with us there, guys, on those tables. Glad we got here just in time to see you, or you can see Doug put that money in.
Just in time. I think it's accepted, though, generally, in fairness to Gaz. What's that in reference to, buds? Please advise. Sandy Sock says, what was that about the delayed commentary? Yeah, if we're watching the stream and we're commentating on it, our commentary would be 6 or 7 seconds behind. So we watch the action live, we call on it, and you guys see it in line with the stream, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and if you guys are wondering why we were just delayed on that one, it's because we're looking at the stream like you are.
Exactly. Mike, you're still not able to see the tables, are you?
No, I'm working on it here. Hold on. Let's see here.
Cool. So I think what's happening is we're both on the call. I think if we both hang up on Skype and we both join the call again, yeah.
Okay, let's try that. Yeah.
Hopefully we can get this fixed. Please do bear with us. Okay, I'm going to mute myself on Skype. You still hear me on Discord, Mike?
Yeah, you're all good.
Excellent.
All right, I'm back. Sorry about that, guys.
It's having some ever so slight technical issues. Not too much happening at the tables, though. We have a pot size bet on the turn from Dean Eggs.
Did get through, as you saw several moments ago, since we're a couple seconds behind. But now we're live. We've got our tables back up on our screen.
We definitely do. Shout out to Brian for sharing the tables for us. We appreciate it, buds. Dino Dean says classic audio device Skype settings. Yeah, Mike had muted himself. Mike, I think you might still be muted on Discord, buds.
Really?
Can
you not hear me?
No, the chat were saying you can't be heard, but I think it was because of the delay. Yeah,
it was the delay. Yeah, I was muted on purpose there, guys, because I was talking to our stream runner, or the guys sharing our tables. Wow, Daniel with the min 4 bet on the left, all in from Doug. Min 5 bet, rather.
Ace or a 5, ace or a 5, ace or a 5!
No
Ah, nasty one.
that pre-flop cooler is going to go the way of Doug. Interesting to see Daniel use the click it back 5-bet size with kings.
Yeah, he's a fucking idiot. Let's be honest. Nobody should be clicking back 5-bet at 120 bigs. Let's just put the money in. Like, it's just, is he doing that way 6 suited? No. It's just nonsense. So you just put it in. It's just nonsense.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you there. Perhaps we're missing something, and maybe it was some sort of misclick or something from Daniel there, but barring that was a very unorthodox, at the very least, play.
Yeah, min 5-betting, guys. Don't min 5-bet 110 bigs effective.
But regardless of what it was, it's a pre-flop cooler. The money's going to go in no matter what.
For sure.
Plottin says, what does clickback 5-bet mean? So clickback is when you re-raise, so you're clicking it back to them without moving it up at all. So for example, if I were to raise to 3 big blinds, and then you're in the big blind and you make it 5 big blinds, the minimum 3-bet, that would be called clicking it back. So in other words, it's the minimum 3-bet or minimum re-raise.
Albijur says, Gary, you called him an idiot and yet he won the hand. Curious. Cool. 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 Question for Gary, what site do you play the cash games? I play on Stars. I play on a few other sites, but I try and keep them to myself because they're pretty soft. Pretty soft. Guy with 75k winnings on Hendon Mob calling D-Negs an idiot. Lol. You're absolutely right. Daniel would annihilate me in this in that format. I'm pretty sure I would do okay versus Daniel. In the format that I play regularly on, which is 6 max cash. Shane says, Gary, have you ever heard the phrase in poker, F the fox? No, I don't think I have. Dude, stop expecting people to play so linearly. Don't know what that means. I don't think you know what it means either.
What he means, again, words don't mean anything. We're in 2021. So, but what he means, I think, is stop expecting people to not do things purely for deception that costs them money directly.
Can you say that again, please? My head hurts a little bit.
He's expecting people to do things for deception or reasons like that that are quantifiably less profitable than the other option. For people like poker fans like to do that.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I see a lot of the comments where you critique a play and they're like, well, isn't it good to mix it up sometimes? You can't always play. What they basically say is, should you really always play good? Because then they could counter you for playing good. Like, no, you want to do the thing that makes the most money, or if 2 things make a lot of money, then you mix them or whatever. But yeah, people like to do this thing where they make plays for deception or they make plays to mix it up, and that's actually one of the biggest mistakes I think you can make in poker is arbitrarily doing something like that, because that's kind of how you get torched sometimes.
A good friend of mine, Ishtar11, said to me once, we were talking about this very topic, and he said, just play unexploitably and watch the EV roll your way. And that's just so true. Don't try and mix it up when it's unnecessary, and just play solid poker with solid strategies and watch the EV roll your way. And I think that's a great quote. Gary, you can't afford to play in the D-Negs format, but love the commentary. Absolutely, I can't afford to. I never once said I could. But I'm glad you like the commentary. I appreciate that, bud. Gary, when you playing Doug heads up? Never. He would destroy me. He would destroy me. What's the biggest game you've played in England? 5, 10, 25. It went okay. How do you suggest improving if you don't read or study GTO? I do a decent amount of solver work these days. Not a decent amount, but a lot more than I used to. If you're not the kind of guy who wants to like use tools and programs and software and stuff like that, you should use a site like Upswing Poker. And I'm not just saying that because I'm commentating on the Upswing Poker page, but there's a lot of A lot of great content out there on sites like Upswing Poker, where you can massively improve your game by watching videos, etc. We have a 4-bet on the left-hand side. These guys are about 70k effective pre-flop. Let's see what Doug decides to do. Calls with 22k in the pot. Pretty low board, but with a flush draw. Surfing Punter says, so boring playing that way, Gary. Might be boring, but it'll make you a lot more money in the long run. That's my advice. You guys take it with a pinch of salt. If you would prefer to play a little more funky, then by all means,
do
go
what
right
you
ahead.
want. Don't let us tell you what to do. We're just commentating on the poker match.
We see a quarter pot c-bet from Daniel. Doug calls.
Shout out to Ryan.
Do you think
Ryan Palo Degenerate with the 172 person raid? Appreciate it, Ryan.
Ryan Palo, thank you very much. Ryan DePalo, I should say. I think we're going to see a lead here from Doug sometimes. Not always, but sometimes.
Not this time. Yeah, Ryan DePalo won a WSOP bracelet in a Whole Foods parking lot this year. Or last year, rather. Shout out to him for that. Pretty cool.
Big Steeler dropping the knowledge and backing me up. I appreciate it. He says it's not boring. You still get to raise and bluff. Haha. Turn goes check, check. I think we're going to see a shove here from Doug sometimes. Going to see a range of sizes here. He likes to use the smaller size, but he definitely will have some shoves in his range. This is more indicative of a hand like pocket tens, perhaps.
9-8 or a 9-10, perhaps.
10-9, ace-9 of hearts.
I feel like even 8x might make this bet. I'm not sure it should necessarily, but I think people might think to do it mid-game. Ooh, he's got 2 jacks.
He has got the J-boys.
The J-boys. I love that. J-boys. I've never heard that.
Never heard of the J-boys?
Oh, dude, that's sick. I've always called them the jalapenos, I think.
Nice.
But yeah, I love the J-boys. That is
J-boys. Man, I should have patented that. Now the world knows.
Yeah, so we did see Doug flat a 4-bet with jacks there, which makes sense when you're a little deeper. I would assume that they also shove all in pre at some frequency, even at that stack depth. Would they start the hand at roughly? Let me run it back and just see exactly where they were.
While you're doing that, guys, I'm loving the debate that's being generated between like playing unexploitable poker and having fun, should we say. Me the Scapegoat, sorry to interrupt, Mike, I just wanted to address this. Me the Scapegoat says boring play certainly makes more money in the long run, of course removes all the excitement and takes poker from gambling to advantageous play. I really strongly disagree with that, respectfully disagree with that, because playing unexploitably doesn't mean boring. You get to still bluff and you get to still go crazy and like 5-bet jam ace 5 suited pre-flop and stuff like that.
I think the other key thing is we don't actually play exploitably at the table, right? We study it and try to learn how to do it, but then when we're at the table, it's just our knowledge and what we can remember and what comes to us at the time, and that's why mistakes are made a lot. So it's still exciting. And honestly, how often back in 2008, how often did people 10x pot, 5x pot jam the river and do crazy exciting stuff like that? Guess what does that? GTO. The GTO strategy that everyone's using, or quote unquote GTO strategy everyone's using, includes all those fun things you get to do. So at first it might feel kind of boring because you kind of don't know those spots and you kind of feel like you're playing more passively all over the place. But it's pretty fun once you get on the fully on the quote unquote GTO horse. And plus, there's always room for jungle poker. If you know what your opponents are doing, you can always take advantage of it. But the key thing is to actually know and to not just be guessing.
Yeah, I just take umbrage with calling like a solid strategy, boring, or saying it's like it's robotic and boring and not fun and stuff like that. Like you can play really solid, as Mike says, like it's GTO to 3x jam the river sometimes as a bluff. That's not boring. But yeah, I am enjoying the debate, guys. So go ahead and continue. Go ahead, Mike. What were you looking up there?
Oh, they were 175 blinds deep when Doug had those jacks. So
I wonder how often he's shoving it in with jacks there.
I could see it being pretty rare. 170 big blinds is more than I thought it was. That's a lot to stick in there. Especially Daniel didn't really size up his 4-bet that much. It was a pretty normal sized 4-bet. So Doug's jamming just a lot more to win the same amount as usual. So it makes sense.
Another thing on the subject of the debate we're all discussing right now is that, like, anyone who plays poker is playing to win. There's like 0.1% of people who are rich and don't care and they're there to have fun. But even recreational players are there to win. So whilst it's a fun game, if you're there to win, you should be trying to play as best as you can. And again, to reiterate the point, that doesn't necessarily mean it's boring. It's just a solid strategy. But let's move on from that discussion. Ronnie the Cat, completely agree, buds. Bluffing is not GTO because it can be exploited by calling. I don't know if that's true, buds. I don't think that's true. So I think you might be mistaken there, fella.
Pavel Lin says, does it never make sense to 5-bet without jamming? Yes, for sure. When you get deep, you're not going to shove. As you get deeper, you have to start doing non-all-in 5-bets. Because extreme example, say we're playing a live game and we're 1,000 big blinds deep, and I raise to 3 blinds, and you make it 10 blinds, and I make it 25 blinds. Well, you're not going to shove 1,000 blinds over my 25 blinds, right? That would be crazy. If you had 100 blinds, by all means, go for it. 100 over 25, that's normal. But when you get very deep, it's just you're risking too much to win too little, simply put. So you don't really do that.
There was something I was going to say there. It was quite important. Yeah. So the Daniel Min 5-bet, going back to that, there's a reasonable chance it was a misclick. If it wasn't a misclick, the reason I was like, I said he's a fucking idiot. The reason I said that was that Daniel will have a min 5-bet range of kings and aces. Like, it's just completely, he's not going to do that with any bluffs. And that's not a good strategy to have, is to just min 5-bet aces and kings. It's not a good strategy to have a min 5-bet range, 110 bigs effective anyway. You should just have a 5-bet shove range. And it's frustrating to me because you see it all the time. And we all see it all the time, is that people just play really strongly with the strongest parts of their range, and it's just frustrating to see. But if it wasn't a misclick, then I don't like his strategy of min 5-betting with strong hands and strong hands only, because he won't do that with his bluffs. Like, he won't do that with ace 5 suited. But yeah, maybe we'll find out it was a misclick in due course. But hey ho. And as Min says, it made no difference. You're right, but if Doug has a different hand, then it is going to make the world of difference. Here's a good example of how poker is not as fun. When I played live in 2004, I sat down at a table with everyone calling and having a good time and drinking, and the 2 guys next to me literally didn't even have any teeth. Now I go and sit down to play, and it's like 8 to 9 internet wizards with their headphones on and not conversing, and they've all studied upswing or some multitude of training site. Lurk you long time. I completely agree. Live poker has descended from being really fun to not that fun anymore. I completely agree.
Yeah, I think you gotta find the right place though. If you'd hop around, find a place where it's more casual. I mean, I personally like just playing lower stakes when I play live, because you do get to watch just some of the worst played hands you can imagine, and it's really fun. As Doug looks up Daniel on the right with King High. But yeah, Nicholas, I definitely get it. It's when it's already slow. It was always slow, but now we have people who play slow, people who think a lot and aren't quite as splashy. It's not as fun.
Nicholas says the guy called Doug an idiot. No, it was in reference to something that happened earlier where I said Daniel was an idiot for making a certain play. But yeah. Oi, Gary, think of what you just said for the last 30 seconds and now realize how dead you're making poker. I don't think I'm making poker dead at all. It's such, I mean, solvers and stuff have been around for years, and poker is booming. If you look at these sites like Stars and GG and this, that, and the other, there's so many players on all these sites. It's a myth that poker is dying, and it frustrates me that people can just pass that off and nobody calls them out on it. Like, poker is not dying. Once COVID is over, live poker will be booming. The WSOP 2019 was absolutely booming. Online is absolutely booming. Solvers are not killing the games. Can we make the live experience better for people? You're absolutely right, we can. But is poker dying? Absolutely not. And it's frustrating when people just say, "Oh, poker's dying, and this is the reason." And it's like, well, poker isn't dying, so please stop saying that.
Yeah, that was some good preaching for sure. I do think that we get those comments a lot on upswing content, even like Doug's channel. People will be like, "Why do you make this? Aren't you making the games tougher?" It's like, what? Like, I suppose me and you talking about 5-bet jamming right now is technically moving the needle a little bit, because now these 4,000 people, some of them just learned a little bit about 5-betting. But come on, guys, it's negligible. We're just trying to provide some entertainment, talk about some stuff.
Woody Wood has said something, and I think this is a great way to say it. Instead of like saying like you guys are fish or whatever, Woody Wood says, "How do you two talking strategy at this level, but don't play anything even close, nor have the experience?" That's a great way to say what you're saying, and it's not an unreasonable.
As Daniel out top pairs Doug on the left for a nice little pot.
Sorry, it's not an unreasonable statement, but I think you'll find that both myself, Doug, Jamie Kerstetter, etc., anyone who has joined the stream, we all have pretty solid experience. Like if you're gonna want guys commentating who have only played 40k NL heads up, you're gonna have no commentators, because none of the 40k NL heads up regs are gonna want to commentate. But I think it does a disservice to not myself, but the other viewers that we have on the channel, who are solid poker players who have the right to come on and discuss the strategies that these guys are implementing and give their opinions, etc. So I think it's unfair to expect only people who have played this level to commentate, because you guys would then have no commentators.
Yeah, we would just have music playing, unfortunately, if that was the case.
Yeah.
I have, for what it's worth, I've played some 25-50 cash heads up. I've played probably a few hundred hands at that level, a few at 10-20, a lot at 5-10. So, I've played some heads up. I was also in Doug's stable, so I'm fairly qualified to talk about Doug's general approach as we see him 2x pot the left. Something he's been doing for a long time. He actually more used to do pot in these spots.
So boring, that 2x pot, isn't it, Mike?
It's boring stuff here. Boring GTO play. Yeah, on top of that, one last thing to add to what Gary said there is one important thing about being a commentator on these kinds of things, and part of the challenge, as we see that overbet get called, is knowing what you don't know. So while we might be commenting on a game we've never played and never will play, we know what we don't know. So when we say something and we're not sure, we say, well, I'm not sure about that, but this is what my intuition thinks. Doug's going to win a nice size pot there, as Daniel calls the turn with that gutter ball. Interesting stuff there.
I'm sure Daniel had some thoughts about leading some heart or spades rivers there potentially.
Yeah, perhaps. And a king high is also going to be good against a lot of the draws that Doug is going to be barreling with. So makes some sense.
I just really quickly want to say, sorry, Mike. Woody Wood says, "Guy, thanks for the answer. It wasn't a dig at your poker career. It was a legit question." Like I say, Woody Wood, the way that you said it is completely fine. You get people who come in and say like, you guys are terrible. You shouldn't be, commentating on this, that, and the other. But if you guys want to critique Mike and myself, we're happy to hear it. Just do it in an amicable way. That's all we ask.
Specific is also helpful. Sometimes people are just like, bad. And I'm like, all right, well, that doesn't help. But if you say, hey, it would be good if you spoke slower, that's actionable feedback, right? It's good stuff. That's how we improved the stream early on. I don't know if any of you guys watched the stream in the first few streams, but the overlay was much less efficient. The tables were much smaller. The audio wasn't as good in certain ways. We made some a host of other improvements, and that was because of specific feedback from you guys, and we really appreciate it. Feedback we don't appreciate quite as much as just, what seems like arbitrary negativity. Shout out to Jay Farber. Shout out to Jay Farber in chat, who just said, "You guys suck," with an exclamation point. Shout out to Jay Farber.
The stream has been a lot of fun tonight. It's been a little more serious. We've had some serious chats, some really awesome discussion about like whether or not GTO is killing the games, etc. But yeah, props to you guys. And if you guys want to challenge us on something, then we welcome it, because as Mike says, the challenging feedback about the layout and stuff like that has contributed to a better quality of stream. So feel free to just go ahead and discuss these things with us. It's been a lot of fun. Somebody in the chat says, "Are there plans to have a Mike, Gary, Jamie trio commentary episodes? Would be fun." I mean, I'm down if these guys are down. That would be a lot of fun.
Yeah, that would be cool. We just need one more camera slot.
Big Steeler says, I think the stream would be significantly better if Gary can speak in an English accent, please. Fun fact, a regular viewer of mine once donated $100 to a charity of my choice if I streamed in an American accent for 15 minutes. And I happily obliged and I did it, but it was pure like Los Angeles 19-year-olds, airheads, women. It was just like I'm not going to do it, but it was really, really, really cringe. And it was at the start of the stream, so a lot of people were coming in and like they were hearing me sort of talk like this a little bit, and everyone was just like, "What the fuck is going on? What is happening right now?"
That's a smart way to do that for sure.
It was awesome, and we raised $100 for my local food bank, so it was really cool. Big Daddy says Guy talks a little bit too much sometimes, though. Somebody said that the other night, and I immediately shut the fuck up. So once again, I'm going to immediately shut the fuck up.
I think there's ebbs and flows. Like sometimes you're just going to talk too much, and sometimes you're going to be a little quieter as a commentator. So
yeah,
it's kind of just how it's supposed to be.
New
By the way, someone in chat just brought up. Sorry to cut you off. Someone in chat, Golden Boy, said we need channel point gambling. People have brought that up. I don't know how to do it. I assume it's easy to do. Can you guys? Is it easy? And I could just look it up like tomorrow and then set it up for Friday, because I would like you guys to be able to gamble on the outcome and stuff here on Twitch. Unfortunately, YouTube, Google hasn't been kind enough to implement those features since buying YouTube. What a surprise that the big company decides not to improve the product that they purchased.
Goddamn Google.
We would love some emotes, Google, but I'm not going to hold my breath.
New strap mic. If I'm talking too much, you just subtly touch your nose, okay? Just subtly touch your nose.
Well, I touch my nose a lot because I've kind of allergies, itchy nose, so
okay.
It might throw us off. But on the left, we have a 9K pot. Yeah, do some tutting dancing. So what happened here on the left? Doug's betting the river. I want to say he just double barreled here. He did get looked up by a straight. Yeah, he double barreled. So Doug went pretty big on the flop, like 2/3, got called by Daniel's gutter. Daniel turned the gutter, gave Doug a straight draw. Doug bet small, and then the river, Doug bet again, and Daniel looked him up with the straight. Nice hand for Daniel there.
Nice.
Picking up a 20K pot or so.
Woody Wood says, Gary and Mike, do either of you play chess? And if so, what are your thoughts comparing the two games in critical thinking? I play checkers. I'll let Mike answer whether or not he plays chess, because I certainly don't.
Yeah, I just watched the Queen's Gambit, so somewhat recently, so now I know how the pieces move, but even just a few months ago, I would have said I don't know how the pieces move, so I do not play. Check raise from D-Nex on the left.
Ooh, 3 bets.
Did not see that.
I got a fun story about the Queen's Gambit, but I'll wait until the end of the hand. We see a call. So single raise pot. Doug is the pre-flop aggressor. Daniel's going to have more 10-9s. Doug's going to have more hands like Queen Jack and pocket deuces and stuff like that. We see a 75% bet from Doug, and he takes it down. I'm just trying to think of the sort of hands that Daniel can do that with. Maybe some bottom pair type hands that have to call the small 3-bet and then just go ahead and fold on the turn. So, Mike, one of my students, we were in a session and we were reviewing some of his footage, and halfway through he paused it and he said, look, this is really frustrating. Everyone on PokerStars now has their avatar as my ex-girlfriend, and I have to see it every day. And I was like, what are you talking about? And he used to date the main character from the Queen's Gambit when they were teenagers. And he's like, first girl to ever break my heart, and now I just see her on a daily basis. Just everyone else in the Zoom streets has got her as their display picture. I was like, dude, that's so brutal, man.
That's super brutal.
Super brutal.
All right. Long stream. It's going to be a 2-bathroom stream. Be right back.
You go right ahead, buds. I'll continue to hold the fort with the chat. As we see a 3-bet. Nut Bluff says block image, bro. It's kind of tough when like 50 guys all have it, which is a frustrating one. Just like imagine your first girlfriend, and then imagine she got really famous, and then her picture was everywhere. It's just be like, can you not, please? Shout out to Pappy Van Winkle. Welcome, brother. I'll donate $1,000 if Brady does a show with no top on. I'll show you guys a nipple real quick if you don't tell Mike Brady about it. How does that sound? Laundry Rock says, get a bottle, you wimp. 3-bet pot on the right-hand side. Daniel check folding on the Jack 7 flush draw. Fitzy says, could never imagine that situation. You lurker, Fitzy. Absolute lurker. Troll Kong says, Harry Cassie, no shirt. I'm not gonna do it, but can you imagine like Mike comes back and I'm just like this? He would be so mad. By Mid says, Gary, can I be your student? Not taking on students, although I don't know if I'm allowed to mention this actually. I'll wait till Mike gets back and then I'll ask him for permission. Lurk You Long Time says, keep lurking as D-Negs sits out. This has been 3 hours and 5 minutes, dug up a little over 100k. Is this going to be GG? It looks like it is, boys and girls. It looks like we're at the end of the session. As the dots go into the chat, what a time for Mike to take a bathroom break. Looks like
we've got a GG.
Looks like we've got a GG, buds.
So what did you? I kept my headphones on, so I just heard all of that. What do you need to ask permission about?
I was going to say I'm toying with the idea of starting a CFP, but I don't know if I'm allowed to mention it. I've realized I've just mentioned it. I'm not going to talk about it too much, obviously, but yeah, I wasn't sure.
If anyone knows what CFP, which your target market does, so I don't need to say what it is. If you know what CFP is and you're interested in getting CFP from Gary, give him a follow on Twitch. Talk to him when he's streaming. That's
awesome. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Can't believe you had the headphones in the whole time, you little rascal.
Yeah, I did the first time too, but I didn't tell you, and it really worked out. Because
you're such a dick, man. I could have been saying terrible things about you.
Well, would you though? You wouldn't.
No, not at all. I have nice things to say about you, brother. Yeah, right, I am going to go to the bathroom, and I'm not going to take my headphones with me. So you go right ahead and do your thing, okay?
Talk some shit. Yeah, sounds good.
Yeah, I'm going to raise my desk first, though. I'm still here.
Sounds good.
Got a standing desk. It's fucking awesome.
So make sure you stick around, guys, because Doug is going to be hopping in to join us fairly shortly. He always likes to sort of gather himself, make some notes after the sessions, maybe go to the bathroom if he needs to. So it'll just be a few minutes, and he will be here to chat about today's session, to chat about the challenge overall, etc. If you guys have any questions for him, please drop them in the chat ASAP. I've only got 2 questions for him today. Super shameful. Let's get some good questions for Doug here, guys. Drop them in the chat. Ty H asked me, what character do I play in Tony Hawk? I did use Bob Burnquist back in the day. He was my boy. And game I was Ducey says Doug has to prepare for the toughest part of his day, which is the interview. That's right. As you know, Doug loves these interviews. Best sauce to go with steak. Doug loves talking about steak, so I'll definitely ask him that one. Very good. I like to have a few non-poker questions to end on, so. Am I frozen? What's happening here?
Hey, Brady. This is Thomas. The stream can hear me, by the way. Yeah, you are frozen. But Gary is not. So, yeah, just go ahead and reboot that.
We don't have Mike.
Were they able to hear me?
Yeah, they could hear you, and you're back now,
good.
so.
Okay, good. Sorry about that, guys. Okay, so what do you guys want to ask Doug? Let's hear it.
Yeah, get your questions in, because we've got very little to ask him about.
Kieran Schwar just asked how current is the Upswing Poker content and ranges. We keep the Upswing Lab, if that's what you're talking about, updated, we just updated them actually. We just and released a new set of ranges as well. So in the lab, they're kept very up to date. The lifetime access courses are not updated. So but we only sell courses that have been when it comes to the big game types, we only sell courses that came out within the last 3 or 4 years or so. So they're never going to be super out of date by any means. And if something really gets out of date, we tend to change it even in those courses. We don't want to steer you guys the wrong direction. Sicronum24 says, was the Thomas talking seriously serious? That's right.
The one and only.
And speaking of the one and only,
yeah,
Dougie
we
P.
said one and only.
Hey, guys.
Dougie Fresh, how you doing? We're all right.
I'm good. We had our first in a very long time, so we'll be thankful for that today.
Yeah, first one of 2021. Congrats on that. What was the approximate final total here?
I think we won just a little bit under 3 buy-ins, but just about
Nice.
3 buy-ins. Yeah. So that's a good session. I think this is our first 6-figure win in, I want to say, 5 or 6 sessions, 7 sessions, something like that.
Yeah,
it's been a while.
Indeed. It has been a bit since you got one of those. So let's go with our usual system where you kind of just pull up the hand replayer since you have access to that and we don't. Then you can sort of look up the hands and recap them and talk about the ones that you're willing to talk about. Does that work for you?
Sounds good. The classic approach. So we played a decent number of big pots today. We had a hand where he opened, I 3-bet King Jack offsuit. He 4-bet. I called. Flop was Jack 7-4 with a flush draw. I checked. He bet. I check raised. He jammed. I called. And he had queens. So I think that's obviously fine from him. I think that's pretty clearly fine for me. Just a classic top pair versus overpair situation.
Yeah. What are you going to do?
What are you going to do? We had another hand where I opened ace king suited. He 3-bet. I 4-bet. He did a weird min 5-bet thing, which is maybe one of the worst things I've seen him do this entire challenge. I'm not sure if it was a misclick or not, but
yeah, Gary was very critical about that one, and it set off the classic discussion of GTO versus exploitative play. Because of course, the exploitative play of clicking it back 110 blinds deep with kings as a 5-bet, super standard.
Let's just put it like this: the play itself is terrible, undoubtedly terrible. But what if you really? It's just bad. There's no doubt about it. So either he misclicked or he has a put 130 or stack in pre-strat. I feel everything else he's been doing has been trending in the right direction, but he did think for a while and then do this. I kind of think this was on purpose, and I kind of think this is one of the worst things I've seen him do in the entire challenge. So I don't know what to say. That was that. Anyway, guess what? I had ace king suited, and he stacked me. So panned out. There you have it.
Yeah, he probably wouldn't have stacked you if he 5-bet shove. Right?
Go for it. Jump in there, Gazzy.
I just wanted to ask if he does have a put 130 or stack in pre-strategy. Do you think it's kings and aces, or do you think ace 5 suited is ever in there?
I have no fucking clue. Just gonna leave it there.
Just kind of feels a little unbalanced towards the top parts of his range, but hey ho.
This is the kind of thing when I played the bankroll challenge and I had to play 1 cent, 2 cent. I saw a lot of this there. It actually brought me back to those times seeing this. The really tiny 5-bet. And I think, is this really aces and kings? Is this really? So I don't know. I don't know what that was. We had another hand where he 3-bet king 8. I called ace queen. He bet very small on king jack rainbow. I called. Turn was a 10. He bet 40%. I called. Or was it deuce, and he had to go for a check call, which I think it's kind of classic Negreanu style of try and let Doug fire some bluffs when, maybe you might want to consider going for some value, but he did check, and I had the ace queen, so very fortunate turn for me, and I went with 150% pot, and he called, so that was a very nice 90k pot. Good to win one of the bigger pots. We don't tend to do that very often around here, but we'll take them where we can get them. Definitely a cooler spot for him either way. We had another hand, we 3-bet jacks. He 4-bet, we called. Flop was 8, 7, 3, 2 hearts. We checked. He bet. We called. Turn 9 of clubs. Guys, you're very colorful right now.
Yeah,
I've
seen that.
or...
Please accept my apologies to the chat. I've gone very purple out of nowhere. Sorry about that.
You can just be purple for a bit. It's fine.
No biggie. Turns a 9.
So it's 9. It's 8, 7, brick 9, right?
Correct. 8, 7, 3, 9 with 2 hearts. We have jacks with a heart. We check. He checks back. River's a 4. We go for a small bet. He calls, and he had king 4 of the flush draw. So some very bad rivers in the deck for us. We did manage to dodge those and improve him to a calling hand of the river, which I think is very good from him. I don't see any problem with his play there at all. I think it was good. We had another hand. We 4-bet ace 9 with a spade. He called king 5 deuce, 2 spades. He checked 2-bet small. He calls. Turn 5. He checks. We bet small. He calls. And river, there's about 19k behind, 46k in the pot, 47k in the pot. He checks, and we just check back. This is a spot where I think we're going to do some of both, but we do have some other more clear bluff hands that I think I'd prefer over this, to where I don't think I need to pure bluff this hand. But that'll be an interesting one to run. Jack's a weird river because you pair some hands, so I think this was fine, but we'll have to take a look and check it out. I don't think we saw any other big pot showdowns really on that table. Other table, we had aces into queens, which was nice. We managed to hold there. That was good. Cooler spot. Yep, very well played from me. We had a hand where I opened jack 9. He 3-bets. I call. Jack 8, 7 rainbow. Bets 40%. We call. Turn 5, creating a backdoor flush draw. We have jack 9, not of the backdoor flush draw. He barrels 2/3 pot. We called. River is a 3 of spades. He jams. In my heart, I felt he was not going to bluff here very much, which I feel in many spots versus Negreanu. But as a committed disciple of the church of calling people the fuck down, I called him down and was shown the goods of jack 8. And that's actually going to be the way that we're going to play here. We are not going to be doing any exploiting. There are no hand histories. I'm not gearing my strategy towards that. My hunch is Negreanu under bluffs in a lot of these spots, but sometimes I catch him running a bluff. And just because if I had to pick, is he bluffing at equilibrium more or less, I would pick less. But we're going to be calling people down appropriately, and we're going to see what he's got. That's the way we're going to approach poker. And I'm sure someone in the chat will say, but that will never win at 200, 400. And yeah, you can shut the fuck up, Bob. Yeah, I'm talking to you specifically, Bob. You in the chat. Because it's never worked. It didn't work in the Bankroll Challenge, and it's not been working so far in this thing. We've just been losing. We're down, up 600k here. Down, stuck, up, stuck. And then the Bankroll Challenge, we turned 100 into 10k, and I had a career of winning millions of dollars, and I'm still going to have people complaining about calling with pairs until my last hand, which really, I'm hoping is this challenge. When my last hand is played, the final words are going to be, you really could have folded a few extra rivers. That's going to be the last thing anyone says to me.
For sure.
And then I'm going to be on my way. Anyway, whatever.
I'm just going to quickly hang up so I can fix this webcam. 1 second.
Go for it. We need you to come back though for some color commentary. Anyway, we 3-bet ace jack. He 4-bets. We call. We are very, 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 very deep here. King jack 8 flush draw. We check. He bets 25% pot. We call. Turn 8. Pairing the board. Check. Checks back. River 7. We go for a small block bet river, and he calls and has ace king. So, what are you gonna do? I think this is fine. I think we could debate a river check call as well, but I think blocking works too. I think it's pretty standard from both players. We had another hand.
Have you considered that Aaron from Twitch thought it was a bad play?
I didn't think about that, and I'll make sure to put that into my post game analysis.
Yeah.
When I'm running the Sims, I'm gonna have Sims on one side, and I'm gonna have Twitch chat on the other, and I'm gonna try and merge them into one. Yeah, that's gonna be my strat. Okay, we had another hand where Negreanu opened, and we called Queen 8 suited. Queen 9-8 flop. We check call a small bet. Turn ace. Check. He pots it. We call. We're still pretty happy. We can draw to a boat. We're feeling pretty good. River King check. He bets 150% pot. And you might say, Doug, how much bluffing have you seen Negreanu do here? And you know what? The answer to you, not very much. I've not seen a lot of bluffing here. But we did not come to fold 2-pair on the fucking flop, Bob. I'm talking to you. We did not come this far to lay this guy down. And we called, and we got showed the Jack 10, which happened to be the nuts. I think purely coincidental. I'm just guessing. I think it really could have been anything, but it did end up being the nuts, so that wasn't the most fun. We had a hand where we called through it with sixes. We bet Jack 10-4. When check 2, turn deuce, he checks. I don't really love my turn bet, but I RNG to 1. And when you RNG, sometimes you make the controversial weird bet. Maybe it was a 0. I don't know. When I roll ones, I do shit. That's the way I roll around here.
Nice.
That's poker. That's just poker in 2021.
Exactly. Another hand, we 3-bet King 9 suited, King 10-6, 2 spades. Check the flop. Do a lot of betting here, but sometimes you got to let the trap ski go. Turn queen. We bet 2/3 pot. Negreanu calls over 7, and we go for the block bet. A little tiny block bet. Please, please don't raise me. Please, 7 of spades giving us the flush. No, don't raise. And Negreanu doesn't raise, which I kind of could have seen coming. And he shows the King 9 as well, but not a flush. So we do win the pot.
So we do win the pot.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Yeah, and then we had a whole lot of hands where I jammed river and he folded. We had a bunch of those, and we'll just never know what happened in those hands. There's just not
what really happened. There was one 6 point where I'm sure you've been on the receiving end of this before. It's such a sick feeling where you're facing not 1 but 2 big all-ins and huge pots at the same time.
At the same time, yeah.
And neither of them are snaps, of course, and you're just, God damn it, I have to think about both of these marginal spots. And you're probably feeling sweet because it's like dropping a couple bombs and then just walking away because you don't have to do anything. Your job is done. You've put the money in. Yeah, you could run to your little bathroom that you got back there or whatever. Like, you don't have to do anything.
Yeah, well, it's a bit dangerous because if he folds, then I get dealt into the next hand, but
that's true.
Yeah,
but yeah, he did end up folding both of those for those who weren't here at that point.
Yeah.
ORW Barcelona says so low RNG number is low frequency and high is high frequency. Some people do it high frequency, but Doug likes to go for the low numbers or the aggressive actions. Just whatever your preference is. All right.
There's strong opinions on this.
Are there
on the low versus high? Oh yeah.
I figured. What about
there's 2 camps. There's the low number camp, and then there are idiots. So you really have to think about which camp do I want to be involved in. And I know people in the other camp. I'm not going to say any names. I don't want them to feel bad here. This is a safe space for all people that roll numbers on the river, but it's just not a good look.
I'm in the right camp.
Not a good look. Not a good
Aggression is low. Aggression is always low. It's the best way to do it.
Does anyone fall in the middle camp? Like, if you want to do something 40% of the time, you do it when it's between a 40 and an 8.
I'd love to meet that guy. Sometimes you do have to do that though, actually, but not aggressive in the middle. But sometimes when you get, I like to call them Doug spots. We have to do a little bit of raising, calling, and folding, which happens from time to time. You have to go, all right, so 1 to 25 is raise, or 1 to 15 is raise, 25 to 60 is call, and 61 plus is fold. You do that occasionally.
Right. Yeah. It's funny. Sometimes when I'm playing on like my iPad casually and I do want to randomize a spot and I don't have a randomizer handy, I'll ask Jen for a number, my girlfriend, for a number. But because there's human bias, I do have to vary it. So sometimes I do like between 40 and 60 is my. I do that sometimes.
Does she ever say 1 or 100? I think that'd be very.
Exactly. Yeah. That's the issue. That's the big issue. But she has said like 3 or 4 before. But yeah,
if someone said
work on random numbers,
Doug, pick a number between 1 and 100, and I said 1, I would just feel like I'm doing a bad job.
Right? Yeah, for sure.
Show a little creativity here. You had 100 numbers to pick from, and you picked the one I said, one of the 2 I said. Wow.
Yeah, no kidding.
Great job.
Well, in her defense, I don't do many 1% frequency plays. I'm not that cool. So
Yeah, but now if you do a 5% play, it's really a 4%.
or even
So
less frequently. Yeah, tricky stuff. Tricky stuff. Poker in 2021, guys. This is what it is now. You used to have to decide: do they have it? Do they not have it? Now there's numbers, and you're making your decision based on that. Fun stuff. All right, you ready for some other questions? I've only got 4 today, so we'll get through this pretty quick.
go for it.
I have 1.
Sweet. You want to do the third one, Gary? I'll do the first 2 and the last 2.
Wait, hang on. I just noted one. It could be different from the ones that you have.
Yeah, we'll see. I'm sure it is.
Yeah.
Okay, so one person asked, was there an exact moment, kind of a 2-part question, was there an exact moment when you knew poker was what you wanted to do? And conversely, was there an exact moment when you knew what you were done with it?
Yes, on both. To be honest, the moment I found that, so I was always into strategy games as a kid. Played a lot of chess when I was very young, and then I played video games, a lot of Warcraft 3, different strategy games, RTS games, StarCraft, stuff like that. And I just loved the idea of competing against other people. And when I found out you could play a game for money where the house takes a cut, but you can actually win money because you're playing against other humans, I was immediately hooked. Just the idea of that, not having, you could run up a bankroll, not have to have a job, not have to just grind it out in the real world, but you could use your wit to build a bankroll and have a career and have a life for yourself. I was basically, the moment I realized that you weren't just gambling versus the house, you're gambling versus people, I was just immediately hooked. It wasn't really the game itself. It wasn't like I had a hand where I had a big pot go my way. So it was just the concept and the idea of the game. And that was what was so great. And there were some moments, I think, when I first started playing Heads Up where I realized that this could be a really good way to earn a living. And then the opposite feeling, I just started to have this feeling when I would play where I'd sit down at a table and I'd think, I don't really want to be here. I don't want to do this. I don't want to play. I don't like that I'm here. I don't want to be here. And when you feel, when you have this overwhelming feeling of not wanting to be somewhere, it's hard to really, give it your A game. Heads Up specifically is by far the least bad because you're thinking about things constantly. It's my preferred form of poker. It's what I've played the most of in my career. And you're also at home in your PJs. So that's always good. But, or for me, I guess I should say my formal wear. But I just started to get this feeling, that I didn't want to be there. And I felt that a few times through this challenge, but I just know that I got to keep my head down, keep working, and make sure that I win because we've had a big downswing. And while I think I'm still a good sized favorite and we have a 15 buy-in lead, 9K hands, 15 buy-ins can evaporate so quick. So
sure.
you have to just keep trying to play your A game, keep trying to improve, keep working on some different sizes and ranges and notes and practicing and learning and running sims. And I think I didn't make very many errors today, actually. I think this was one of my best sessions I've played in terms of errors. I don't think there's the last 2 sessions I've had hands where afterwards I thought I really feel I fucked that one up or I made a big error in one hand. But this session specifically, I think I played very good. I think there was maybe a couple of decisions that were at least very close. And that's not that I played super good today and I played really bad last time. It's just the difficulty of the spots that you get, right? Sometimes you have a session where you get stacked a lot, but you had easy decisions. Sometimes it's more likely to not be like that. But sometimes you have sessions where you have a ton of really tough spots and you end up doing your best but making some blunders. Today, I think I had a lot of very clear spots, which is nice to have that because you don't have to sweat it as much.
Yeah,
makes a lot of sense.
Okay, so this is a question I find pretty interesting, actually. Well, first, I guess the first part, which I'm pretty sure the answer is yes. Are you going to be able to use software to track the hands after this challenge or to import the hands? And then do you plan to do that?
Well, so to my knowledge, there's no way to do that. So I don't see, the site doesn't offer hand histories.
Oh, I thought you could get them somehow. You can't?
You can get the hand histories? My understanding was you can't.
You must not be able to then. You would know better than me.
You definitely can't do it by recording them. Maybe you can contact support or something. That's interesting. We should look into that and see if you can, because it would be cool after the challenge to look at that. But
yeah, just a quick Google, it seems like to view your hand history, select my profile and then game history.
Well, yeah, you can view them, but that's just the replay. That's not an actual hand history.
Gotcha. Yeah, I'm sure chat will correct us in a sec, but well, in theory, say it is possible. Would you import them and check out the stats, look at your red line?
Oh, of course.
Yeah,
I would love that. That'd be amazing to look at.
Yeah. I'm sure Daniel would love to too, especially if he's running below all in EV. He loves to talk about that.
Well, the all-in EV tides have been turning lately.
Oh yeah.
I'm still definitely up, but they've been turning a little bit. Do you think there will be an equal tweet frequency about all in EV if it gets back to? I'm just asking in theory.
Oh, for sure. Oh, you mean so? Are you saying is Daniel going to continue tweeting about all in EV, or are you going to now start tweeting about it because you're down in all in EV, or both?
I guess I didn't think about the second thing at all because I don't think I would do that. So
yeah, I don't think either of those things would happen. I don't think either of those things happen. Daniel might have forgotten what all in EV was if he was running above all in EV this whole challenge.
I
he wasn't talking about it at all.
I think that that's a way I've definitely been running hot so far, and that my goal here was not just to run infinite over EV and win this challenge. So in a way, it is a little nice that he's getting some back his way. It's a bit more quote unquote fair, and I think that when I win, it'll make it a little more legitimate. I don't want it if at the end of it, let's just say for example, I finished up 700k and my all in EV was up 150. It would not have a super legitimate flavor to it, right? Because obviously that's 550 of just pure luck. There's no doubt about that. Now, one thing that he doesn't somehow I ended up talking about luck again. Why? I thought we weren't going to do this. I blame you. I blame you, Brady. Somehow this was your fault.
Well, I mean, all in EV's just talked about so much in this challenge because Daniel's always talking about it. I was just making a passing comment. You latched onto it, and now
I blame you. I blame you.
I just can't say the
you pulled me back in, kicking and screaming.
Well, do you want to say something about luck, or do you want to just move on? It's up to you.
Let's move on.
That's fantastic. I'm so glad. Well, all right. So last two, or Gary, you want to get your question or two out if you have them?
Yeah, I don't know who asked it, but question for Doug: what would it take for him to be the first one to quit in a session? I think that's a pretty cool question.
Let's see. Heart attack would definitely not a joke. See what else could happen. Internet goes out.
Okay. Let me rephrase the question. What would it take poker-related stuff to make Doug be the first one to quit
I just can't even see.
Can't see it. No.
I guess. It's just so hard to imagine. If I lost 400k, would I keep playing? I kind of think yes. If I felt I was still just playing good, why would I quit?
Okay, there you have it, boys and girls.
Maybe if I had a headache or something. I actually had a headache earlier today, but Advil was good to go. But I don't think it'll be poker related.
Yeah, exactly. Dog needs emergency trip to the vet, for example. That's like one.
Yeah, that happened once. I forget if it was me or Caitlin, but one of us grabbed an Advil because we had a headache or whatever, and it dropped. And then Binks thought it was a snack. I just
No.
It was just there was no. I mean, he thought it was a snack. He thought a piece of delicious food had dropped.
And he just scarfed it down too?
Sorry, what'd you say?
He scarfed it down?
Instantly. Just done.
That's amazing. I guess that's kind of a normal dog thing. My dog would not do that. She would sniff it and then no, it's not a treat.
Well, but then you risk that we say that's not for you, right? If you insta eat it, no one's getting that back.
Right. Yeah, that's so. In other words,
if you sniff and wait, yeah, maybe if you didn't want to eat it, maybe you're gonna suffer there, but then you risk it being taken from you,
Yeah, it's some good dog theory for sure. I like.
So we had to take him to the vet.
As a dog, that's a good strat. But he was okay, I assume.
Yeah, of course, yeah. But I think he had to get his stomach pumped.
Oh damn, that sucks.
Well, it's 200 milligrams in one little pill, and for a very small dog, you can definitely harm them. So
I once came home from something, and I walked in, and my dog had eaten a whole dark chocolate bar that a friend had left way too low, and I had read on the internet that if you make them eat hydrogen peroxide, they immediately throw up. So I took one of those things for medicine and shot the hydrogen peroxide in his mouth, and then he threw up just multiple massive puddles of chocolate-looking throw up. And I have to imagine he was going to die because
that was really resourceful on your part.
I honestly can't even.
I don't think I wouldn't even thought that clearly because my dog was in danger and I didn't do that. So
right.
You thought, how can I solve this problem? I thought, how can somebody else solve this problem for me? That was
mine felt a little bit more pressing, I think, because I don't know how long ago he ate the chocolate. He ate a lot of chocolate.
I see.
So I thought I was fucked. I was basically doing something out of desperation, and it just happened.
With dark chocolate specifically, just a few ounces can be a lethal dose. If it's milk chocolate, it's not as big of a deal, but dark chocolate, like just a little bit, will just kill him.
I didn't know that.
It was a German friend, so of course it was dark chocolate. Too pretentious.
I do know that it takes more chocolate than you would think typically to really hurt your dog. Well, because once in a while, you worry about that, and I looked it up at one point, and it's not in small doses. Now, if they eat a whole dark chocolate bar, then yes, then they're probably chip. Speaking of dogs, Thomas's picture is just a dog.
Yeah, it's covered on the stream.
Also, why is Thomas here with us?
He took over for Jimmy today.
Oh,
Jimmy had a personal thing to deal with.
Okay,
so
gotcha.
Thomas is in the mix.
Nice. Always good to see Thomas in the mix.
Of course, he did a great job, as expected. All right, I got 2 more questions for you. Not about poker at all. First of all, what's the most expensive alcohol you've ever drank?
It's got to be a Macallan. I've had some really nice high-end Macallans. I went to the Macallan. Are you gonna make fun of me, Gazzy? Is that
not at all?
Do you? I'll take my story back.
I'll
never had anything.
Tell your story on your stream. You have my permission. Go right ahead.
No. I don't want to insult you.
Oh no. The American comes across. He does the typical American thing. I'm just kidding. Go right ahead.
Yeah. I'm sure it's some Macallan Scotch or Glenlivet Scotch. When I went to those places, I tried some of their nicer ones at their bars and just tried some different stuff. I don't have a specific one, that I would say.
I see. So Macallan, roughly. In the ballpark.
Roughly.
Macallan. Yeah.
Sure.
All right, last one. One of your favorite topics, steak. What is the best sauce to go with steak? And do you happen to have any stories regarding a heads-up tournament online prop bet involving sauce by chance that come to mind? One just struck me.
I do remember that. So
you want to tell? Yeah.
I like steak with simple. If I'm going to use a sauce, like something simple, like a nice grain mustard, could be good with it, or just plain by itself. But I normally prefer the fattier cuts of steak, and so they do better with just salt or something like that.
I agree.
So, but I also enjoy a chimichurri. It's always good. But I'm not super into the sauce. It's about the cut of meat itself. And yes, I remember this. So we used to have these prop bets where whenever we would play the 10K World Series of Poker or the 10K W Coop Heads Up online, me and all my Heads Up friends, it wasn't enough just to play. We had to have all these prop bets. And there were some people, if you beat, you got bonuses or something, but it was a really small list on that because those just kind of suck. It was mainly, if you lost, here are your punishments. And there was a bunch of great punishments. If you ever lost to Elke, you had to go blonde. And I don't think anyone actually drew Elke. And then in my Heads Up in the 1-drop at the end, Elke knew about our prop bets in the past and said, if you lose here, you got to go blonde. I said, okay, if you lose, you got to go for a faux hawk. It's a pretty one-sided value proposition, honestly. I definitely get wrecked there. But I'm confident in my Heads Up game. I'm not going to say no. And he ended up going for the faux hawk, which was good to see. But anyway, one of these prop bets that did happen was if you lost to sauce, you were not allowed to eat sauce for a month. And JMO drew sauce and lost.
Oh no. Per JMO.
And he just couldn't have any sauce for it was a month or a week. I think it was a month.
Dude.
I think it was a month.
I remember thinking it was brutal.
Imagine no sauce just don't lose. That was the common thing when people would say, "Well, what if you lose to this guy?" Just don't.
Just don't lose.
Just don't lose. If you don't lose, you're gonna eat as much sauce as you want. Oh, that was great.
That was too good.
I can't remember all the other prop bets though, but we would do that every heads up tournament. Those are some good times.
You had a bunch of those. There was one for Ike too, if I remember correctly. I can't remember any of the other specific ones. The two you said are the only I remembered as well.
Yeah, most of them never happen. You just draw someone random and then lose, and then.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like just coming up with the prop bets and laughing about them is like practically half the fun, you know. Then they don't even have to come up necessarily. It's
when you see the bracket and you think, okay, if you win here and then he wins there, you have no sauce for a month. If you, it creates some extra sweat, you know, because you definitely want sauce. You want your buddy to draw sauce, right? That's just clear, because they either advance or they get punished maximally. So it's a win-win, really.
Yeah, no kidding. All right, Gary, you got any final questions before we sign off for the day here? Call it a sesh?
I do not. Yeah, I think I'm good. It's a lot of fun tonight, guys.
Yeah, really good session. A lot of swings. We saw Doug take a quick 160k lead. Then it reverted back to about plus 10k only or so, and then he ended up with 120, only about a buy-in off the peak. So pretty damn good. The next session is going to. Oh yeah, what?
Just one. I got a little. When I got down to plus 10, I thought, really.
Oh yeah, I was
really. I can't just get the one session in. We're gonna have to do this.
Right.
And he's just stacking me with overbears, and I'm just calling him down and just getting stacked.
A classic tale.
The classic tale. I feel before we go, I do feel there's a bit of a line in the line of the sand that's been drawn, which is Negreanu is much less willing to put in all the money without very strong hands.
For sure.
I'm not saying he can't bluff. Definitely not. I've caught him bluffing. But he is much less willing to do that. And I am maybe too willing to do that in some spots.
Yeah, I mean, same goes for thin value bets even too, right?
For sure. And I think stylistically, we're just kind of meeting at a point here, which is he going to be able to win enough big pots against me to overcome my real attack on some of the small to medium ones? And I think we're gonna find that out in the next 5-10k hands, because in my opinion overall, the amount of big pots that we've played where he's lost a stack, it's just really low. It just doesn't really the amount of stackings in this match. Well, I get stacked about right about. We'll just leave it there. But Negreanu just doesn't get stacked enough.
Right.
So either he's going to start to get stacked more, or he's going to just need to make sure that he's trapping me. And he definitely tries to trap me all over the place. So, and that has worked out well for him in some spots. But he's going to have to really keep mashing me in big pots, because, today in the really big pots, let's just say anything that was 2 buy-ins or more, he went 3 and 2 and he lost 3 buy-ins. So, is it, if he's going to, post a win on the big pots and lose 3 buy-ins, he's going to really need to win a lot of those in order to win.
More of them, yeah.
And I think if we look at the last 4 or 5 sessions, he's just crushed the big pots and has not really built a big lead off of that. So I feel that indicates to me that we're in a very good place right now, and that I think when this turns around, or if this turns around, I should say, or if we do run hot in a lot of those spots, that I think that there will be some really big sessions coming our way, because he's just not as willing to get stacked in a lot of these spots, where sometimes you just gotta say, fuck it, I'm gonna get stacked here, whatevs. I'm gonna call down appropriately. I'm gonna bluff when I need to. And I'm not saying that I think he's unwilling to do those things. I just think that his natural play style is a bit more, when all the money goes in, try to have a really good hand. And I think that's kind of stylistically where this match meets.
Yeah, I mean, I think most people watching would agree that that's at least in the ballpark of what's happening for sure. All right, guys, good stuff today. Great stuff from Doug, winning about 120k, and this very, very insightful interview. Next session is going to be Friday, 2:30 p.m. Pacific time, 22:30 GMT. It's going to be myself and Timex in the booth, Mike McDonald. He's going to be joining the first hour or two, kind of trying something new where certain people who might not be willing to hop on for a potentially 5-hour session like we're having today, or 4-hour session, have them come on for just the first hour, first 2 hours, just so we can kind of get some more variety even. I think we've already had great variety, but, you know, why not improve it even more? So Doug is going to take about a 600K lead into that session on Friday. Again, that's 2:30 p.m. Pacific time, 22:30 GMT on Upswing's Twitch or Doug's YouTube. Thank you for joining us. See you on Friday.